and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares, partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
GMCG, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on a fine, beautiful Thursday banger of a stream today. My boy Josh is looking handsome as usual, handsome, strong, jack ripped, young, dumb, and hung as usual. How are we feeling, Josh?
Yo, chill. Timeout. I just saw the NBA timeouts there. Timeout. All right, too much.
Sorry about that, buddy.
You're good. No, I'm feeling great, bro. I'm feeling absolutely phenomenal. Let's get it today.
Let's crush, man.
Sick lineup. I'm just tweeting it out right now.
No worries. Yeah, we got a sick lineup today. MCG's working, boys. Josh and I, ripping the early morning calls. We got our boys just heads down engineering. Shout out to the gang. I know you guys are listening. Working on APIs, cooking up, boys. I mean,
kicking up
takes time, but
front ends, doing all the good stuff. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to build, a business that's definitely multi-pronged here. A community that finds the best signal, makes it the most competitive community to be part of. So that's the stream, that's the community via Discord, as well as a coming signals platform that is much better than the version 1 we put out. V1 was a good get our foot in the door, but V2 is going to be way more sophisticated, way more real time. And yeah, man, I just, we saw a version of it today and I just was super thrilled with it. And I think it'll make our traders, the MCG traders, way more competitive in the market. And that's the goal, is to give edge to the MCG traders. That is the goal.
On that note, guys, if you have something that you've been craving for as a trader, something you're not seeing The analytical dashboards aren't giving it to you. It's a signal you're not able to get, but you really want it. Let us know. We might be able to whip it up and build it. Again, like ultimately there's such a value gap in like what kind of products are out there for traders to use. Traditional finance has all these different ways of measuring the value of products and doing analytics. Crypto's kind of lacking that in some senses, and we have certain pockets of it. We have lots of high level stuff. Blockworks is great, of course. DeFi Llama is great, of course. But how can we really refine that edge? And so we're whipping up a lot of products, and we're open to doing anything that adds value. So just always tap in. Nonetheless, guys, we got a show for you today. We're excited. Crypto Jones said it, man. Let's frog and go. Uniswap dropped their Launchpad, which is crazy. CASHCAT got listed. So this is Robinhood motion. Lots of Robinhood motion, which, we're actually taking it to base a little bit, taking it to Solana a little bit today with Sunrise, taking it to base with Derive, and then taking it to Robinhood with Programmables. Or I guess is Programmables mainnet or Robinhood? I forget. Nonetheless, so we're doing a little bit of everything today, dipping our toes in all the waters, if you will. But it's going to be a banger. Let me run you guys through the schedule, and we'll get to it. And again, like I said, we got the Uniswap Launchpad to talk about. We got CashCat listing, potentially lots of insider bundles going on there. We notoriously talked about CashCat completely at the bottom. We talked about the buckets you need to fill out if you want to do long-term accumulation. What's going to be sustainable on Robinhood? It's a rotation game, ultimately. What's going to sustain? Well, the leading meme is probably a pretty good bid at 30 to 40. I never got to 30, but about 40, 45 million. We specifically mentioned that. We're not meme people. I'm not. Chill has been doing his fair share, and he's been cooking on it. So more power to him, and more power to you guys if you are. But definitely bottom tick that. Let's talk schedule today, guys. A little bit of schedule, a little bit of housekeeping. And look, perfect timing. Josh has gotten the quote tweet out, man. My guy, my goat. All right. Let me refresh Twitter real quick, and I'll walk y'all through it. Okay. Boom. With that said, y'all, I need you to do this for me real quick before we get started because we have such a banger today. Go to MCG on Twitter. And shout out to my guys tuning in on Twitch. Shout out to my guys tuning in on YouTube. We've been getting a really nice audience kind of going over there. If the viewing experience is rough on Twitter, which I have found to be the case, you can always go to YouTube. You can always go to Twitch and chat there. We get all your chats. Shout out StreamYard. With that being said, MCG on Twitter. Make sure you tap that right now. Go there. Scroll down. If you haven't already, and at this point, guys, you know the drill, so I'm assuming you should have. We're going to hit like on the tweet. I'm going to retweet the stream instance. As Chill says, let the people know we're live. We got alpha today. With that being said, we're talking at 12:30. We got CASHCAT on, who's been on the show, delivered a fantastic conversation last time we had her surrounding Derive, the leading options platform right now for options on chain, which is really interesting. With that being said, we're seeing a lighter make a push towards options, right? I'm not sure if you guys heard Vlad in his recent interview on the roll-up, but he mentioned, look, options are kind of our next target that we're going for. And it's a really good question because we do have perps, and perps are doing fantastic. We see Hyperliquid dominating. We see Lighter dominating. But options are largely institutional geared. And let me know if my mic sounds good. Yesterday was a little quiet, so I turned it up today. But institutions are largely trading options, and this is an offering that we want to make accessible to everyone, especially when institutions to come on. Derive had a big focus on institutions last time we talked to them, so seeing where they're at there. V4 or OX Programmable is going to come on as well, and we're also getting the docs from good old our boy Hazard, who a lot of people wanted the docs, right? There was a lot of FUD around this surrounding like, is this a serial developer? Is OX Programmable real tech or LARP tech? And it got a lot of attention, did really, really good. It's nice to see we're going to get a face today. Now, it doesn't always mean things are legitimate, but I'm really excited to see that, which will be a fun conversation. Of course, V4 hooks are the talk of the town. What can you do with them? How customizable are they? What are V4 hooks in general? We're going to cover that all today with Hazard. And then finally, last but not least, our friends over at Sunrise on Solana are talking about the new RWAs, the listing of Take-Two, right, which is TTO, which is the parent company of GTA 6. So, we're expecting big earnings. Now, this has been running for a long time. This has been a hot stock for a long time, based on what I remember. I actually haven't even looked at the chart, but I've talked to people, and I know they've been in this for a long time. It's printed. We got Rashid coming on, talking through us there, talking about the state of RWA on Solana. We're covering all bases today. V4s, options, RWAs. This is going to be a banger of a stream. Before we do that, let's kind of warm it up. Guys in the chat, how are we feeling? How are the friends doing? Crypto Jones, how are we doing? Lots going on in the Robinhood ecosystem. Say what's up if you're in the chat today. We wanna say what's up. Before that, let's talk, Josh. And this one I saved for you. This was a tweet that I saw the other day. And I said, I can't talk about this until I get Josh on. He's the space data center guy. He's the SpaceX guy. He knows what's going on. Tetsuo posted this, friends with the show. SpaceX, SPCX, and NVIDIA are teaming up to design Starmind, a satellite payload built for space-based data centers. Now, I believe SpaceX beat earnings, but everyone is expecting it to really dump into this news as they kind of do the quarterly reports, quarterly earnings. Elon Musk tweets this out. So a little cheeky tweet here right before earnings or right after earnings. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but earnings get reported. Everyone's expecting the whiplash in the market. SpaceX continuing to go down. But then he's like, hey, by the way, before you guys jump the gun, also roadmap, we're building freaking data centers in space, and we're teaming up with NVIDIA to do so. Josh, any comment on this? Because just wild.
So they think this could be the most valuable factory in the entire world, which is a factory that's creating these data center satellites. You can think of it as a constellation that's in a sun synchronous orbit. So it's always being powered by the sun. And it solves for some constraints that we have here on Earth. The scalability of energy on Earth is a constraint. The political will to put data centers in certain places is a constraint. And so by putting in space, you theoretically, you have unlimited sun power 24/7. These things can scale up. Now, the individual satellites are smaller on the compute scale than a terrestrial single campus data center, let's say. But if you add in the laser, connectivity between satellites and then laser to Earth, you have a terrestrial data center that cumulatively could be quite large. Elon said in the IPO, 100 gigawatts is their goal within, I want to say he said kind of the first 5 years of this. So 5 years from now, mid 2030s, we should definitely see something at scale in terrestrial. And the big thing is get mass to orbit, build the largest extraterrestrial data center, and then win the race to AI with robotics and settle the solar systems. And he uses the scale, the Kardashev scale, which is, can you harness a meaningful percentage of the sun's energy to basically power civilization? You do that through robotics and putting a Dyson sphere around the sun, all this kind of crazy stuff that Elon talks about, but that's what he needs to do. I think the thing is with these satellites is they'll be out far enough from Earth's orbit and will be in a sun synchronous orbit. So that might solve for the space junk thing. Now, guys, what are we going to do to play this name? I'll tell you one name I bought yesterday, which Chill called out. He said at $2 million, hey, I think AI, artificial intelligence, could be a decent play. That was yesterday. Around, what did we stream yesterday? 1 p.m. here. So it's around 2 million right before this little wick here. So $2 million. Chill said, hey, keep an eye on AI. Game actually had owned this too somewhere in here, but I think he had sold it. But decent looking chart. And, we have kind of two catalysts that have happened here. So this right here is a meme coin AI paired with the quote token being NVIDIA stock. Well, NVIDIA stock has gapped up on this news. So you do get that lift of the value because the market price, if you remember, the market cap in dollar terms is derived from both the demand for AI and the NVIDIA quote token. We'll look at NVIDIA's stock. It's gapping up and has done quite well on the news. Also just kind of in the news. But then we have this dual catalyst potentially for artificial intelligence that I like, which is Robinhood listing CASHCAT, listing one of their tier 1 memes on Robinhood chain. Now, of course, I did see some of the insider trading allegations, the price action pretty ugly on that listing. I don't like any of that. However, generally speaking, if Robinhood can really, get their listings in order, really clamp down on this, this is what I'm referring to here by bubble maps. I think, this could be a good catalyst for things like AI. Why Robinhood would want to list something like AI is because the demand it drives for their RWAs on the platform. So it came out that long XYZ was somewhere upward of 60% of all demand for the NVIDIA tokenized stock on the platform by pairing it with a meme coin. So I really like the kind of multi-catalyst here. So that's kind of how I'm playing this. I really like this chart. I think this chart's kind of really found a good bottom. Still fairly $3 million micro cap. Meme coin, who knows where this can go? Chill said this could go to all-time highs again. I don't know, but I do like the idea. So keep that on a watch list. I think that's something that I own disclosure-wise. One other thing I'll call out. We had Duncan on from talking about Synapse and Galaxy, and he talked about this Hypercall platform. This is another options platform. If you download the mobile progressive web app or PWA for Hypercall, it's a really beautiful app. Basically looks like Robinhood's options trading platform. Synapse used to be an old school bridge product. Arthur Hayes had bought this, and then people sold it to absolute, brutalness from 70 cents right down to 9 cents. But right here at 13 cents, it's about a $16 million market cap. The bridge product, the bridge platform is dead. That business is commoditized by Wormhole and others. I didn't do so well on this one so far, but I do think if this platform can gain traction right now on SpaceX, they're the only ones that have 0-day options on SpaceX today. And right now has open interest of $150,000. Well, when we first covered this with Duncan, they had OI about $5,000. So this has grown open interest quite a bit so far. So one to keep note of is Hypercall and Synapse. If that platform does gain traction, could be an interesting trade on options. So the only last thing I had, and I wanted to shout out our sponsor MetaDAO for being super amazing. But Game, just here with a tweet. As with any utility fundamental play, it becomes a good value again once. Attention fades. We've seen this with all utility products is you get that initial hype cycle, then attention can fade. However, price can start to grind back, and there are many such cases of this. Right now, he's calling out Cred here, which is on MetaDAO. It's their kind of premier launch. And we've seen this. If you guys remember and have been, those who have been with MCG for some time will remember these cycles that Chill and I talked about over a year ago, where tokens go through these overvalued, undervalued phases, right? So it goes through that initial hype cycle where it's overvalued. Then it goes through a period of undervaluation where the idea dies off and, it can just be like no one's paying attention or they're rotating, as Dom mentioned, the rotation game. But here at 56 cents, Cred's ICO price was 40 cents. Okay. So you have this really good floor at 40 cents. The treasury is about $4 million of this FDV. So really the true market cap here, the pre-money market cap is 8 million. If you extract out just the capital, but this is a protocol it hit $1 billion of volume on their platform, and their revenues are at a yearly runway rate of about $13 million. And so this actually might get
no.
nice
Yearly run rate of $3.5 million, right?
I think they said 13 million in a tweet here. I could be wrong on that, guys. Just let me do a quick DD on this. July expectation was 185 million on volume. Let's see. I could be 3.5 million. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Just want to make sure that no, this is already generated 3.5 million run rate in revenue.
No, they were growing 30% month over month. So this could easily be closer to 4 million at this point, but not 130.
No, you're not 13. Yeah. So that is the right number. Yeah. We'll see how this scales. I think again, it's like these MetaDAO tokens, you got to have a long-term outlook, right? You got to be willing to invest in something for, I think you let this play out for 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. If it becomes a really large business, it could be a really great trade from 50 cents. So nonetheless, I just want to put it back on the radar. Again, call out this overvalued, undervalued kind of framework that Chill is loosely laid out. And I think, directionally is kind of correct. And I think we're in a phase of this kind of, the story's undervalued now, and we'll see. Hopefully these can get properly valued with time, but one to keep on a long-term watch list. All right, Dom.
Yes, absolutely. I do want to cover the CASHCAT listing a little further in depth, but since we already touched on that, I'll save that till after the show today. But I do want to talk about, Uniswap, right? It is pretty apparent that, yesterday we had this conversation. We were all trying to figure out, is Uniswap going to release a competing platform, a competing launchpad, or are they going to release an aggregator of all the launchpads? We weren't really entirely sure. It was kind of a mix, torn left and right. On one hand, if they release their own launchpad, is this not cannibalizing a large chunk of their business? Again, all the launchpads right now on Robinhood are already using Uniswap's AMM on the back end. So that was like the big question here. They do, in fact, go ahead and launch their own launchpad. And the reasoning, Hayden says, is to make it more fair, transparent. The fees are way too high. And, for the longest time, even going back to ETH days, we used to see 5 taxes. If you guys weren't around, you think the 1% in, 1% out is expensive taxes. We would see 5 taxes on average for these projects. And this would be used, of course, to fund the development, ideally with the goal eventually that these guys turn off the 5 taxes and their business makes the equivalent in money. So taxes have always been a thing in crypto. Of course, then we got the bonding curve, and that dropped to absolutely nothing, right? And Pump Fund had like 0 fees on all these bonding curves. Projects couldn't really make any money from launching. Then we kind of got some iteration on that, and like 1% became the standard, right? 1% buys, 1% sells, so 2% total. Now, this does add up. Fumbler says he feels like Uni fucked up over the whole eco. Yeah, let's read through this. I actually haven't digested this entire thing yet, so I'm not sure what the answer is. Yesterday, I will, I guess, go to a token that's related to this. It's called Frong. Yesterday, if you guys remember, Frong was trading at 16, 17 million. I said very clearly, this is a sell the news for me. Number one, this is not a meme. Number one, this is a meme, right? It's not even associated with the Launchpad. So all of the...
You did that. You did say that. And I did sell.
There we go. Well, and the thing is, this isn't any fun. This has no fundamental ties to the Launchpad. So, it's completely an attention hype-driven play. And so, of course, this building up will only culminate at the announcement of the Launchpad, right? And so, whether it is a Launchpad, it goes down because, it's met expectations. If it's not a Launchpad, it goes down double as fast because it's just a nothing burger, more of an aggregator. So this was a very clear short, if you could, probably not. It's not really listed anywhere, or sell. And I think, we were 15, 16 million when we got off yesterday. I was like, the barbell right now feels pretty good for a Frong short, Pawns long. And of course, Pawns being the leading launchpad on Robinhood. Pawns, however, has not really bounced. We've stayed around the same area. I guess it's up a little bit from the 13 mil it was at the other day. But so short Frong, long Pawns, because I do feel like this was a bit overblown. They're still likely going to capture the predominant volume on Robinhood. To be determined, though. I need to actually read into this announcement a little bit more to make that decision. But so far, that's aged about as well as it could have. Again, we're at 12:30, so I'm going to jump to CASHCAT here in a second. But let me just read through this, guys, so we can get a better idea of what this Launchpad looks like for Uniswap and maybe a bit of Hayden's thinking. Of course, we've had all the Launchpads on. We would love for Hayden to come on MCG sometime to break it down himself in his own words. So that invite is extended. And I have reached out to him. Hayden says this about the Launchpad. Is he quoting a tweet? Okay, yeah. So RB3K just said this. I think this is a sentiment of a lot of people. I get why they did it and respect the hustle. Dog eat dog world, I guess. Now the question is, does Uniswap have the capacity to commit crimes the way Pump Fund does to be a powerhouse? My initial answer to this is probably not. I think still, up until this point, we have not seen a major runner on the Uniswap Launchpad. But let's read through this response here from Hayden. This mindset assumes people want to use highly extractive, shady platforms. And I bring this up because I feel like it's the crux of the thinking behind the Launchpad. He said, we're making the opposite bet, that users will prefer quality tech plus a level playing field. And I do kind of understand this. Uniswap's already created the V4 hooks. They've already created the tech that everyone's using. They already have this underlying tech. Why not just in-house the Launchpad? Another irony is watching people try to frame lower pool fees as more extractive or anti-bundler. Quite the opposite. High spreads are how most Launchpads extractions happen. The ultra high 1% pool fee, aka 2% spread, is the primary method of extraction. It also significantly worsens liquidity. As a token grows, a 2% spread pool becomes useless, so the launch pool is wasted liquidity. 0.25% fee tier pools will work well even as they grow and extract far less from the trader using the platform. I guess it also becomes this also is determined by the type of project it needs to launch. If the project needs funding, again, a dynamic fee or a 1-2% fee to start, maybe diminishing, might make sense because, of course, we know lots of that volume happens in the excitement phase in the very first hour or two of launch. So I understand both sides. He said, and auto compounding fees will grow that liquidity even further over time. Another irony, high LP fees are bad for traders, but sometimes necessarily to compensate LPs taking on significant price risk, right? That impermanent loss needs to be paid for. In the case of Launchpads, the LP is locked liquidity at a zero cost basis. There is no risk to compensate. The Uniswap team is the best in the industry when it comes to AMM design and on-chain liquidity. Shout out Meteora. And when we build a product, it's because we think we can create value for our users and the industry. If we make some decisions differently from other Launchpads, it's born out of this perspective. The traders deserve better trading systems. We're here to help. Not going to harp or hang my hat on it too long here because we do want to jump. But I think from a technical perspective, Uniswap can win this Launchpad war. From a cultural perspective, I'm not entirely sold on that. We know for these Launchpads to succeed, of course, we do want the runners. We do want the affinity to the trenches. Uniswap can't go and promote the tokens on its Launchpad. I mean, I guess it could in theory, but it's probably not going to, right? Because they have a very strong AMM business that they don't want to damage. And so them going to their Launchpad and saying, criming something up per se, or promoting something on their Launchpad, which is what the culture and the trenches really want to see, is kind of a bit of a no-no at their size. So we'll see how this ages, and we'll talk a bit about it more later. But general thoughts, I'm indifferent right now. I'm indifferent.
I'm indifferent too, but I'm gonna pivot to our sponsor, and then we'll get to CASHCAT. He's in the waiting room. All right, so guys, trade on MetaDAO. Thanks for sponsoring the show. $45 million raised, and that's not even just the amount committed. They have a lot more committed, hundreds of millions of dollars committed. If you want to see what MetaDAO projects you can trade, you can go up here, hit the projects tab, go see all of them. They really help to support the show, and they also are ownership tokens. So traders and owners and asset owners have a claim on the underlying treasury and IP that the businesses create. So go trade on MetaDAO and as well as futar.io, which is their permissionless launchpad. With that, we are very, very, do you want to tee up CASHCAT there, Dom?
Yeah, I will. And we're very excited about MetaDAO. What they built over the last year has been nothing short of incredible. With that said, guys, we take this conversation over to options. The last year in crypto has been dominated by the perps conversation. Hyper liquid, lighter. Are perps a better alternative to options? We had CASHCAT on a little while ago, man. It would have been a couple months at this point. Wonderful conversation. Lots of educating points there. Just talking about the numbers, the metrics, the volumes, everything behind Derive. Very impressive stuff. And they're clearly the dominant leader right now in on-chain options. I think our question today becomes, where do they stand currently? How have options continued to be adopted? And where do we go moving forward? We know the Clarity Act is unlikely to pass here before the recess. And so the odds of that are becoming lower every day, but we do see options as a very important means of trading. We even see recently Vlad went on an interview with the Rollup, and they talked about how Lighter is not pivoting, but building out their options vertical of their stack, because they know institutions really cater to options, or they really want to cater to institutions who prefer options, right? The truth of the matter is it seems like perpetuals are just not what institutions are going to use. And we know, again, based on our conversation with CASHCAT last time, that they have a very strong institutional client base. So with that being said, I'm just it's going to be a great conversation, just kind of getting the updates here, what's going on. And so without further ado, we're going to bring good friend of the show, CASHCAT, back on the stage to give us a scoop today. CASHCAT, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, we're excited to get you back on. The last conversation we had was incredibly informative and a lot of fun. How are you guys doing? What's it looking like in Derive these days?
Yeah, we have a lot going on. So I guess, you guys did great by way of introduction, but Derive, for those who don't know, is an options trading platform. We have an order book and RFQ for options. We offer portfolio margin on options, spot, and perpetual futures. We've been the leader in the on-chain space for the majority of the time that we've been live over the last 5 years, and we continue to grow today. So thanks for having us on. We, I think, as always, have probably more updates than I could even share with you right now. I guess like some of the biggest things that are happening right now, we have a new version coming out, which we could maybe talk a little bit about later, but the latest is, we are working really hard to cater towards institutions. We have a new partnership with BitGo that we announced maybe yesterday or a couple days ago, where we're able to do sort of an off-chain custody with on-chain trading, where we're able to mirror balances in custody. So very excited about that. It's been the works for many, many months now. It's something that we've had a lot of interest in. The response has been great on that front. So it's probably the latest news.
Maybe we can even touch on that a little bit more. You mentioned specifically you're like really kind of trying to cater to this institutional client base, which again kind of seems what Lighter is looking to do here with the options rollout. And we're going to talk about that in a second too. But talk to me about what the BitGo Derive partnership entails and what this means for you guys and BitGo.
Yeah, so this unlocks access to Derive for a lot of institutional customers. What we find in some cases is that, either by just general risk avoidance, or even from like a regulatory or compliance perspective, some funds traders, even the ones that are on Derive now, have limits to how much capital they can post on chain. And this kind of helps us expand that. The way that it works is we work with a tokenization partner called Strands, who will read API balances from BitGo and mirror assets in your Derive sub-account that, you're still beholden to all of your trading losses and things like that, but they're proxied assets. They're not, bearer assets or fungible. If, they lose them in any way, no one is able to like go swap them on Uniswap and redeem the underlying collateral for them.
So I kind of want to think about this on-chain conversation as well. You guys are the leaders in on-chain options when it comes to a platform. Why would institutions choose to trade options on-chain rather than like traditional means?
Like a Deribit.
Yeah, I think a few reasons. One is the margin system that we've built is one of the most flexible CeFi or DeFi of any exchange. So, not only can you trade all of the assets on traditional exchange, we also have some new markets, which I guess is another part of our exciting updates. But we've just launched XAUT, which is Tether Gold, Zcash, XRP, and Canton options. We're able to go, I think, very, very quickly into new markets because the stack we've built is incredibly flexible and scalable into, all different asset classes. We aren't limited to, ETH and BTC products just because we are an on-chain platform. We're here to meet the market. We also are then able to offer very competitive fees, easy onboarding for people, and aggregate liquidity across a bunch of different market makers and desks. So yeah, lots of opportunity for traders there. We also have multi-asset collateral. So, not only can you use USDC, but you can use, all of these other assets. Some of them are yield bearing. We see really popular Hype and K-Hype, some of the ETH staking derivatives, as well as like Lombard's LBTC has been really popular. So lots of different unlocks. And we've actually become the biggest venue for Hype options, CeFi or DeFi, which is pretty cool to see.
Wow.
So we actually see a lot of people coming in, for that specifically. We've seen, much too much
Can I ask real quick on the Hype, like where is that flow coming from? Is that, largely institutions, or like who is the customer there that's trading so much Hype on your platform? Because that's a very impressive stat.
Yeah. I would say for Hype specifically, they have an impassioned community of bag holders, I would say. I think there's a lot of people that have been in Hype since the early days. A lot of people were very, very handsomely paid on their airdrop and are loyalists, and they want to keep their hype, and they're glad to use it as collateral and maybe see some underlying yield. I'd assume for some it's as much of a tax reason that you can hold your underlying asset and then still use it for yield opportunities. But we see like a fair bit of kind of pro tail, or even institutional level traders in there.
I want to ask, so I understand from the taker side, having, the ability to trade and maybe have your collateral off chain is an attractive, but also on the market maker side, this is important for providing liquidity, tightening spreads, and just overall, having a very compelling contract to trade for traders. Does this allow for something on the market maker side for them to scale up the amount of liquidity they can provide to the DRV platform?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. And it's one of the main drivers behind implementing this sort of solution is, we work with tons of market makers. Everybody has different levels of comfort being on chain, and to be able to, bring more capital behind to scale our liquidity, like that's really where we hit a bottleneck. At every stage of growth is like we grow a little bit, we have to bring the liquidity in to meet the new needs. And thus far we've done a good job of doing that. And, we'll continue to do that. But this is like one thing that can be a step change for us to be able to onboard, additional liquidity from our current partners, but also new partners, under this structure as well.
And maybe as a follow-on for that, I mean, I think, I don't know if it shows notional volume here. It's kind of small on my screen if you can read that out there.
Yeah.
Where does that allow you to scale? Like, I mean, theoretically, if you can increase the market makers, you can increase the overall volumes, open interest, the fees that the DRV platform is generating. Like, is it, is your total addressable market now double what it used to be, triple? Like, how do you guys think about the scale that I think like this BitGo thing is brilliant, but like, how do you think about the scale that allows for, I guess, in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the short term, it's probably maybe on that magnitude of 2 to 10x, I guess. But I think in the long term, we're currently pretty consistently like 2 to 3% of Deribit's volume. Deribit is in no way the ceiling for where we're trying to go with this. We're not limited again to crypto options or, the DeFi space at all. So the total addressable market for Drive is that of any massive exchange doing options and derivatives. Yeah, I think it's quite huge.
Here, I got
real
one
quick,
more.
just to even touch on that, just to follow on real quick, Josh, and I'll let you go. We even see CEO of BlackRock talk about all markets will come on chain. I think maybe even we've seen people from the NYSE and NASDAQ say that. Do you agree with that notion that all markets will come on chain one day? And then, we're talking about the blue ocean and size of market, the total addressable market here. And you say, like Deribit is not the ceiling. We believe it can be much higher. Do you agree with the notion that all markets will come on chain and this will be maybe a standard in the coming years?
Yeah, I think that's a foregone conclusion. Like all of the big exchanges are looking at it. You see partnerships forming in that area. You see the tokenization of RWAs, catching everyone's attention. Hyperliquid, again, is doing huge work in getting people on chain and realizing the efficiencies. Like the technology even has, even since we've been building the space over the last 5 years, just keeps leapfrogging itself with what's possible. And it becomes, more transparent, more cost effective, more efficient, more scalable to be on chain. And I can't see any reason why every major exchange and institution wouldn't be looking to adopt some of the technology. I think like the institutions are coming from the very early days. It's turned out they weren't coming for the poop emoji NFTs. They were coming for the technology.
You don't say.
We don't want to FUD our poop emoji NFTs. On the Deribit conversation, like we had someone come on talking about on-chain versus Deribit options, and one of the things he brought up was the capital lock-in on Deribit is pretty high because people have capital on the platform that they're providing liquidity to the takers, and it's sticky. Is that true? And do you think there's kind of that erodes at some point, or that advantage Deribit has erodes at some point, and it goes from, you mentioned 2%, but it could go to 20 to 50% of Deribit's market?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Deribit, we've seen in some different areas losing market share because there's lots of alternatives. They've definitely had a first mover advantage where it's been hard even for like Binance to come in and compete with them on options. The reality of the situation is that options are very difficult to build. That liquidity and those types of integrations are very, very sticky. And in some cases, it's so challenging that really the only thing that gets people interested in building with you is track record and ability to show day after day performance and robustness of your technology and margin system and user support. So yeah, I do think over time they may lose some market share as more entrants come in. I think part of that is maybe some restructuring after the Coinbase acquisition, but we expect them to hopefully like continue to grow alongside us and grow the entire space.
Maybe you could even share some insights on that. It seems like you're of the belief that it's so much so a rising tide lifts all ships thing. It does need to be one or the other. But how do you take some of that market share from Deribit going forward, or what's a bit of that like go-to-market strategy that you guys are working towards? You mentioned institutional clientele and growing that pie. What's the strategy to do so?
Yeah, I think for us, it's becoming the most, which I think we are, and going to continue to be the most integratable, accessible exchange for derivatives for both traders, market makers, institutions, but also for people building structured products, for front ends, for people creating retail UXs and front ends and order execution management systems. And that creates real economies of scale to get all of those people in the same room and contributing. And I think for us, being on chain is a huge power and advantage for accessing some of that liquidity and those users.
Got it. And maybe just to follow up here on some of these updates, you guys added gold. I think for me, one of the biggest pivot points just in on-chain trading we've seen the last year was when Hyperliquid listed gold and silver during their massive run-up. And then following that, they listed oil they listed crude during the Iran conflict. And this was the first time we really saw that institutions, traders, and players were able to participate in these markets after market close during extremely volatile times over the weekend. I think that was a clear turning point. It was getting reported on news stations. Everyone was talking about it. You guys have since listed gold. Obviously, this is a big update today, US or XAU, excuse me. So maybe talk to me about why this is important and, I guess the future as you move towards listing more traditional assets, commodities, and things of this nature.
Yeah, I mean, 24/7 liquidity is I guess both a feature and a bug as a trader in some ways, but it's super cool to unlock so much of what we see happens during the off hours. And, maybe even part of that is by design of when certain parties decide to take action to dampen impacts on the broader market, but providing that liquidity, even though, it's going to be less over the weekend because the broader market isn't open. It really allows for market discovery during those hours. And it's been, of course, super cool to see the RWAs launching on the perp side, and we'd like to bring it on the options. And we think, obviously brings all of the advantages. Gold is actually like a huge market too. There's a ton of OTC trading happening in gold as well. And, I think a lot can come into that market. We actually have an XAUT, a new promotion, which I think is pretty cool, where if it's for the month of August, you can get a Derive branded gold bar if you share your, I think if you're the winner on a percentage basis for a trade in XAUT and you post your P&L card, you can enter.
That's
cool.
not a half bad deal. I'll take a Derive gold bar. That's not so bad.
Yeah,
Well,
I think it's been pretty well received. I'm wishing I could compete there.
So talk to me about this. You do these little promotional strategies like offering a gold bar for highest volume or whatever the specific is. Do you see like meaningful upticks in volumes when you do this stuff? Of course, this is like not a specific strategy to DRV we see or to Derive. We see this with a lot of different platforms. But do you see things like this being, adding enough meaningful volume and users to make it worth it? Or I don't know, what's like the effects of these promotions where you can give someone a gold bar potentially if they have the most trading volume?
Yeah, I mean, I think like anyone else, we're in experiment mode too. This one I mentioned, it has had some great uptick. I think you get a really snazzy little Derive gold plate, so that's really cool. But yeah, we've definitely seen some interest. I've had a lot of people mention it to me. So, definitely some uptake there. And XAUT, I think probably more by way of people just being interested in trading it has had some good uptake. But, I do hope it gives people an opportunity to come on and give it a try and, hopefully post some big percentage wins.
And of course, this kind of goes into, well, I guess this goes into Josh's next question. Of course, more volumes are ultimately good for the DRV token, which you touched on last time. You guys have a wonderful token system. Maybe just start at the top there and break down that token system. And Josh, I know you had a question on buyback, so I'll let you kind of take it right after that.
Do you want to ask a question or you want me to go?
No, it was actually a different unrelated one. But yes, why don't you talk about this? DRV, updates, buybacks, etc.
Yeah, sure. So DRV is the governance token of Derive. You can stake it and earn, some small inflationary rewards. There's all kinds of benefits to doing that. You get, our best fee tiers are, acquired by holding STDRV. If you're an API broker, your best fee share is, through holding STDRV. And we find that is like a really good way to align with our traders, our partners, in a meaningful way. We do post 35% of our protocol fees, from matching, from liquidations, from the borrow are posted to weekly buybacks of DRV on the market. That's been ongoing forever, basically for a really long time. We think it's a way to, show how much we believe in ourselves and, our token, and we, continue to do that. And then that's really
even
like
on that, you recently increased from 25%, or DRV, I should Derive, recently increased from a 25% in the last couple months to a 35% buyback and burn situation. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we don't actually burn them right now. They just go back into the treasury, and then we continue to use them for incentives, market making programs, partnerships, things like that. TBD if there will ever be a burn mechanism. That is all, obviously governance related. I have heard rumblings of people talking about wanting to propose to increase it to 50%. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, it did recently increase from 25 to 35%. And I think as I guess the rest of the protocol fees go into a security module that lives on chain that backstops the solvency of the protocol. And I think as we continue to grow that to support new and bigger markets, then, increasing the buybacks over time and increasing, participation on the token is going to be really meaningful.
What's the dollar value of some of these numbers? So revenue per month, I know it's here, but then you said 30% of that buyback and burn, the rest goes into a security kind of, account. Is that correct? Do I understand that correct? And how much is that in dollar amounts?
As far as the security module, I don't have the exact number. I think it's like $3.5 million that's sitting in the security module at the moment. Wow. As far as the buybacks go, at 35% a week, what was the last one? It was 135,000 tokens or something like that at 10 cents is, $10,000 to $15,000 a week that's going,
Yeah.
into buying back the token on a regular basis.
Okay, nice. I have anything else on token before we pivot? I do have an unrelated.
I guess
question,
just
but-
one last question on like the business entity and structure, how this works. Of course, MetaDAO is a sponsor of the show here, and they are doing the whole Futarchy governance and ownership method where pretty much all IP and treasury is held and owned by holders, via different types of legal structuring. Do you have any idea on what the legal structuring and like business entity Derive operates under, how this works exactly, so I could get more insight? If not, it's all good. Just curious.
Yeah, so we actually, Nick, our founder, has posted a pretty big article on it. There is no equity entity behind Derive. We've never raised capital to anything but the token. The token accrues all of the value, owns all of the intellectual property that's created by contributors and the DAO itself. So there's a DAO, and then we also have a Derive Foundation, which operates sort of in the meat space as a steward for the DAO. Its entire mandate is to promote growing value to the DAO and treasury. So that foundation is in charge of things like hiring contributors and running entities that build out our order book, matching, front end and things like that. But the DAO itself, controls all of the governance. They have had, I think, incredibly meaningful votes. Like sometimes we never know what the outcome is going to be. We've had some very big impact from community members that have changed the full trajectory over the course of the last couple of years, and we have a pretty enthusiastic and vibrant community that is excited about what we've built and keeps us on our toes with proposals.
Love it. Appreciate that answer. Very thorough, by the way. Josh, I know you had a question. I'll let you shoot.
Yeah, one of the big seismic shifts in crypto in the last kind of couple of months has been the launch of Robinhood. Obviously, Robinhood rose to notoriety through their options products that they offered to retail users in the GameStop, craze. They also mentioned that RWAs, agentic trading, as well as eventually options are going to be a focus. What are your thoughts on Robinhood Chain's launch? And is there, because it's EVM, is there any kind of plans maybe that Derive would have products offered on Robinhood Chain itself?
Yeah, I don't have any concrete plans for Robinhood Chain. I think we're always excited to see those kind of participants come into the system and really validate the choice to build on chain and the value and the scalability behind it. It would be great to get a product or something like that launched over there. But again, I don't have any concrete plans, but seeing them as EVM is also, great and a big win for EVM chains all around and composability.
I mean, it feels like we're having a resurgence of EVM. There's life brought back into Ethereum. We have Uniswap v4 hooks, the Uniswap Launchpad, Robinhood, even some mainnet meme tokens have been runners. What are your thoughts on Ethereum's ecosystem just broadly and its health here? You think, not to give financial advice, you think ETH is goodbye? Gotta ask.
Oh no, is ETH back?
Maybe even to add to that real quick before you answer, also like the type of people that trade on ETH versus maybe like SVM or Solana or other chains.
Let's see, that's a loaded question. So I guess
very loaded.
You could express your views either way with convexity using options on Derive, or even over a certain range. As far as is ETH back, I think like it's kind of true of what I said about Derive, as well as like continuing to perform and show robustness of your technology over and over again over the course of years and years makes institutions comfortable building with you. And so I think, in that way, it's a big win. It's hard to see like a better place to build than on Ethereum. We've always been, I think, once to run into cutting edge technology. It's been a requirement for us to scale in options is to really, our engineers are crazy smart, and to be able to really like figure out the best technology to suit our use case. And, we don't have any like final plans of where we're going, but I think it would be hard pressed to find something that made more sense for institutions than Ethereum.
Got you. With that, actually, I want to talk about. Appreciate that answer, by the way, KSET. I want to talk about Q2. Q2 just came to a wrap. Internally, how are you guys seeing the success of Q2, growth-wise, just improvement-wise? What's like one way, I guess, in a couple sentences you could describe Q2 for Derive?
Oh, Q2. I would say for Q2, it's been, I guess internally, it's been a time for building. So we're working on this new version. I'm not even allowed to talk to the engineers about anything because I can't distract them. But we've also had a great period of sustained growth and user adoption of new product launches, even, while building like this massive new version behind the scenes. We continue to ship all these big updates like BitGo and new collaterals and new markets, and new features. And I think it's really paving the way for hopefully a very exciting Q3 where we get a new version out and, kind of a bit of a swan song, answer a bunch of the user questions and requests that we've had over the last 2.5 years of having this version be live.
Maybe you could talk me through this new version. What was some of the thinking, I guess, maybe flaws with the current version that you said, look, we need a new version. We want to make sure it's really good, robust, a major improvement on the previous version. Maybe talk me through a little bit of hints on just like the direction you guys are focusing with this new version.
And are you able to demo it too, please?
Next time, maybe. Next time we could demo it. We just went live in a private test net, I think maybe a week or so ago. So I guess some of the big features, without giving too much away, like our focus is on composability, integratability, scalability. It's going to be much faster than the current version. It's going to be much more secure than the current version, which DeFi seems to have like a very short memory, but much more secure chain architecture, protocol architecture. Again, better composability and very, very seamless for like deposits, withdrawals, things like that. And then also gives us like a way to, I think, get a little bit further into the RWAs that we're thinking about. So
this, you have perps on here. How's the perps gone? And I mean, I guess kind of the idea is to have all different types of trading in one area. Maybe you're long perps, hedging options, collecting funding. Are those strategies that your traders do, or how do you guys think of perps being on your platform?
Yeah, so traders get portfolio and market makers get portfolio margin with the perps. So if you're an option market maker and you're hedging on Derive with perps, it's going to be much more capital efficient to use. We do see a fair bit of sort of disjointedness on Derive's perp market, maybe versus the broader market, because we have a very unique user set of organic traders that are coming in, and it doesn't really matter to them what the funding is on Hyperliquid because they're trading on Derive. So that also creates some opportunity for traders as well. But yeah, I mean, I think our perps even standalone are a great product, but they're just also in some ways incidental to the options market. But we really are like a full-blown margin system. Not only can you trade options and perps, we do have spot order books, but those are more sort of like maybe just in time if as needed, as people need to get in and out of collateral. We don't support 24/7 liquidity there yet, other than for DRV, which is live on Derive. We also have lending markets that live natively. So all of the multi-asset collateral, if you go to the side nav on the borrow page, you can see up. There you go. So you can see all the different collaterals that we support. You can borrow USDC against them, either just like pulling out of the exchange and going to loop strategies, or you can deposit. You can do things like looping a basis trade where you deposit spot of an asset, sell a perp, borrow USDC, and go do it again. There's really some very, very cool and unique structures that, we think will lend themselves really well to structured products and some of these things that exist in traditional finance that don't look anything like options, but they do have options and, margin systems under the hood. You can do it in perps, you can do it with forwards, you can do it with, unique structures that exist in options to do fixed rate lending. I won't get too far in the weeds, but as an options trader, I get pretty excited about these possibilities. And, I think simplifying that stack into products that are very simple and easy to understand and accessible for real yield opportunities is going to be, hopefully a huge part of our new version.
And you get 50% LTV on Cardano, but only 9% on DRV. Come on, Casey. up that a little bit, no?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
Nonetheless, we talked about some of the products you offer. I want to kind of actually hone in back on options because it's interesting. We saw Vlad recently talk about how Lighter is moving the opposite direction, not the opposite direction, but going from perps now to putting a much larger focus on options. And he specifically stated for that institutional clientele that they're looking to really adopt. And of course, they partnered up with Robinhood recently. When you see something like that and you think about competition, we've touched a little bit on competition. What are your first thoughts when you hear someone like Lighter is going to get into the options scene? What does that mean for you guys? How do you look to position with this news?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is I quite like Lighter. I think like they've done a great job. They have an awesome tech stack. It definitely makes sense for a lot of the big protocols to be looking at options. The reality of the situation is that options are hard. They're incredibly hard to build, to maintain, to attract liquidity on. And I think that is going to be an uphill battle no matter how big of a name you might be. We have the, I guess, fortunate situation of working with, people that have a lot of professional expertise in the options industry. We come with people that are both, lots of experience trading options, as well as people from Deribit, from Paradigm, who have experience in building this infrastructure out and are uniquely positioned to do it for options. That said, I mean, it's, again, great to see recognition that options really are worth paying attention to and thinking about how they fit in a product line. It just certainly isn't as easy to go back and build a margin system around options and margin and lending for already having a live perps market. Definitely not an easy task. So we'll be interested to see how they go. But more adoption, I guess, always a winner.
Love it. Yeah, right. I think, again, goes back to this rising tides lifts all ships thing. And as you mentioned, you're right, much easier said than done. Talk me through, speaking of much easier said than done, talk me through listing new markets, because obviously new markets come with great attention, great traders, great volume, of course, gold being the recent one from you guys. This was a conversation we had last time, right? Being first to list these new markets is also like very important in a lot of cases. How are you guys thinking about new markets that we should expect coming to Derive? And then just like being timely on listing these markets that are very valuable. Of course, RWA is big conversation. We have Sunrise coming on later today to talk about the state of RWA. And we're seeing a lot of these equities get listed, on Solana and on Robinhood. How are you guys thinking about listing these markets timely that are, doing a lot of volume, maybe the SpaceXs of the world, if you will, during IPOs? Just walk me through your thoughts there.
Yeah, so on some of these, the devil is in the details. Some of the implementation for RWAs, I think we'll see as time goes and as market volatility prevails, who has done this correctly and who has not. I think there was already like one on Hyperliquid where they had some Oracle, can't remember, on SpaceX that wiped a bunch of people out.
Oh, did they? I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of nuance when you're dealing with these market structures of circuit breakers and obviously like the on-off hours and, obviously like dividends and corporate actions and all of these different things to take into account. So the devil really is in the details. As far as, traditional assets, new crypto assets, those are very straightforward for us. We're pretty much strictly demand-based. So some of the assets that we list, like Zcash or Canton, or even XRP, like those are there because somebody wanted to trade them. We also have Cardano options. They're there because someone wanted to trade Cardano options on Derive. So, we're pretty open to listing new assets if, the demand is there. As far as the RWAs, though, we're definitely a bigger lift and something that we're working on behind the scenes. And that will also be, you'll see more of that going live in our V3. Certainly adding some of these, it's cool to become reference venue. I know I've talked to a bunch of desks. They're like, oh, I have your Zcash markets up all day. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So it definitely brings more eyeballs to the system and, over time, more participants.
Love it. Closing questions here. We are getting into time. Case, it's been a pleasure as always. But I want to talk a bit about customer acquisition. Again, you at the start of the show, you mentioned the institutional client base is your target audience, your key demographic, your main focus right now. So I'll give you a two-pronged question. Number one, how are you thinking about retail? But number two, how are you going about customer acquisition when it comes to these institutional players in either scaling up the amount of money they're trading through Derive or just acquiring them in general?
Okay, so two-pronged. The first piece, how are we thinking about retail? I would say for the most part through partnerships and distribution for retail. We have this great underlying product. We have all the liquidity assembled. So working with people who have, both, expertise and user base in retail to provide access to our product. And then likewise in our new version, some maybe vault implementation, structured products, things that, you don't have to be an option genius to, come in and earn yield and drive volume and make trades. You just have to understand the underlying payout structure meets your financial goals and views. I guess
so maybe even to touch on that a little further, would that be somewhat of like a white labeled product and you're targeting people with large audiences and distribution that maybe already have this clientele and you're saying, hey, look, we got the infrastructure, you have the distribution, let's just plug in and deliver this product. Am I on the right track there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with, a bunch of people that, are working on different, maybe like short dated option UXs for retail or front ends or even some smaller exchanges that might generally front end for Binance in a different jurisdiction or something like that are looking at adding, sitting on top of Drive. We have broker programs where we do fee shares with those sort of applications. We have builder fees where people can add a per trade fee to monetize an integration like that. It's very, very easy to integrate with Derive in that way, both in this version and it will be a step change easier in our next version as well.
So I just have to ask it. I have to. Any partnerships on the horizon you can touch on or speak to?
Let's see. I don't have any that I can talk about that aren't live. I know like some of the bigger ones that we're excited about. There's one called Derivatives Monkey. That's a terminal. What's it? Deriv Monkey. That's a terminal that they're going to be, I think, adding execution on Derive. There's some vaults through Upshift as well. We have a couple people that are, building different structured products. It's derivativesmonkey.com. They have like a very, very cool analytics platform. We have, again, people building different vaults that exist on this version that will also exist, maybe in an even more robust way on our next version. And I think Nemo is one trading team that's doing them. You should check their vault out on Upshift. They've had, some really great yield opportunities there. But yeah, working with more and more partners like that is probably where we're headed.
Got you. Appreciate that. And then we have to wrap here, but the last point on the acquiring institutional clients is that, do you think you kind of covered that in this, that wrapping thought you just gave, or any further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think for institutional clients, it's meeting them where they're at with the tools that they need to integrate and trade on Derive. So the BitGo integration is a big step in that direction. Getting integrated to order execution management, position management systems, things like that lower the barriers to entry is really a big part of our strategy.
Beautiful. CASHCAT, I think you answered all our questions. It's always a pleasure having you on. It's fun conversation. You know your shit, okay? We'll just say that, and it's always fun talking. I love Derive. I love the buybacks you guys do, the IP ownership. I think it's very within the ethos that MCG stands for. So, as always, just a massive pleasure, and you guys keep it up. We're excited to get the update, hopefully here in a couple months from now.
All right, likewise. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. Great to chat.
See you, KSET.
Bye.
Awesome, guys. And if you're listening to MCG for the first time, please go here, housekeeping, go to MCG Live and go give us a follow. I know we had some people just discovering the show for the first time. We are a show that's been on for over a year now. We've been streaming for about 18 months. And we've covered everything from ICM blowing up on Solana, RWAs on Solana, Robinhood chain in June before it even went live when CASHCAT was sub $1 million. All of that's been covered here on MCG, and it's great place
V4 hooks,
to
the next big one we're talking about right after this.
V4 hooks. So yeah, it's all been covered. We really appreciate the support. Honestly, it's we're excited to bring that. I can't believe 18,000.
Yeah. Stick around, guys. We have some more fun conversations, and we're just going to shoot the shit a little bit after this, too, just talking markets. With that said, we also want to thank our friends over at MetaDAO who make this all possible. Of course, over $45 million raised, the best place to raise in this market. They've completely broken the standard we've seen in ICOs. We know ICOs of the past are broken. They're not working well. MetaDAO gives holders ownership, and it gives fundraising. It gives you the best opportunity to raise funds. So shout out to MetaDAO.
And if you're also thinking of raising capital, come message MCG. We might be able to make some introductions for you guys at MetaDAO, but you got to be a good project. Their bar for curated raises is really high. But yeah, let us know and we'll be happy to hook you up.
Very high. Credible is doing $3.5 million annualized right now, crushing 30% month over month. Guys, with that being said, we got Hazar in the waiting room. Of course, Hazar from Programmables. This might be the first time a lot of people see him come out and talk to us. I think he's been in the game for a little while, so really getting an understanding of what is being built at Programmables. It's very interesting. V4 hooks are the hottest thing right now, bar none, on chain. Everyone's talking about what's the biggest iteration of V4 hooks. Like, where do we see this going? What is a V4 hook to begin with, right? What is this thing Uniswap created? What is different than our traditional standard? And of course, how is Programmables doing this? And what are they doing? So we're getting the full scoop for you today. Without further ado, guys, we got Hazar in the waiting room. And again, I want to remind you guys, this show is presented to you by MetaDAO, the best place to raise capital and the best place to trade as a trader, bar none. With that being said,
and Meteora, we love our friends at Meteora.
Yeah, we got to update our show banner here. But with that being said, Hazar, welcome to the show, man. Looking good. How are we feeling?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. It's pretty exciting, I gotta be honest. I was waiting all day for the interview because it's kind of like, I'm just sitting all day here in front of the PC, and now I'm sitting in front of, I don't know, 10,000 people probably watching the stream here and there, so it's pretty cool.
Take a deep breath. 18,005, but close. Nonetheless, take a deep breath. We're going to have a great conversation today. We're excited to get educated on V4 hooks and then also get to know a little bit more about you, because I believe this is the first time you're actually forward-facing out here doxing, which is really exciting to see, and we love that from founders. So maybe do me a favor. Let's start at the top. I want to get a quick background on yourself. Who is Hazar? Am I pronouncing that right? And how did you get into crypto? And then, of course, V4 hooks, which are the hottest thing today.
So you're, first of all, pronouncing it perfectly right. That's fine. And I just came into crypto by how probably everyone came in. You just see these green candles and everyone is posting very nice profits and everything. So it seems pretty attractive to you. So that started 2.5 years ago, right? I just started to do regular meme coin trading, some mid caps here and there, but I honestly just started to see at some point trading is just not something for me, right? I'm more of a builder, more working on something instead of trading, because I'm a pretty emotional guy in terms of holding a position, for example. So I just at some point started to see myself in building stuff in crypto and doing
you and me both, Hazar. You and me both.
And yeah, so that's why I just said, you know what, let's just try out some projects here and there in crypto, and I've been doing that for over a year now. starting to some small projects. I know there's like an elephant in the room. People want to hear that. I launched some coins here and there. We had some projects, and like we had that whole shitstorm going on. People were saying like, yeah, this guy's a like serial launcher and shit. But I have
So
a different view on that. But yeah.
So yeah, let's maybe talk about your view on that, because I think it's a very torn scene right now with crypto tokens. Lots of people say you can only have one token. If you've launched a token in the past, like you can't do it again. Of course, like the question becomes, what kind of value can we drive to a token? Businesses fail by nature. I'm not saying your businesses may have failed, but like this is the nature of the game. Not every startup is successful, and some people are serial entrepreneurs. Obviously, I'm like largely against someone launching a bunch of tokens and farming and leaving, but here you are, forward facing, seemingly addressing this. And so I want to talk about how you think about it, and you think about the previous tokens that you guys have had, and then like now today you have V4 and programmable. How are you thinking about that in terms of like value accrual to the holders and value to token holders there?
So I completely agree with you with the part that you shouldn't serial launch coins, right? For example, these children who just fully like going crazy on a post from Elon, or like if Trump does something, a memeable thing, and they just launch it, bundle up, and just like everyone's just losing money besides them. I didn't do launches like that. I mostly went for like actual tech coins where like it was open source and everything was ready and people could see inside it. So I went more into that, and I agree. Obviously, not every startup or every project can just go into the billions in value. So you have to be prepared for that, right? And as I see it, is like as long as you didn't do something like ethical wrong or something illegal or scammy, I believe it's fine to just try out new things, as long as you really like honestly gave it a chance and were truly honest about the tech and didn't, let's say, LARP it, right? Because why is a trader, for example, allowed to shield 10 projects, but the dev is not allowed to shield a project more than once, right? Because it's usually, I don't know what that stigma in whole crypto overall is, that they are insanely against launching coins. I agree with you shouldn't launch serial memes and farms and like just like swap back to back, but at the end, crypto is about tokens and NFTs and trading and making money, and you need developers to do this. And a lot of people are calling themselves devs when they launch something over Uxentus, but like here we are. It's obviously not a fucking dev, but
so maybe we'll talk through this because there is a
before we do, Hazard, do you have headphones by chance or a microphone? Just if you have ear pods, anything, let's just pause for a minute to get it on, just to clean up the audio.
Bit of an echo chamber.
We got the echo, yeah, and we want.
Yeah, I'm here in this room. I gotta get some stuff here going on.
We have clips that serenade people, not hurt their ears. So yeah, take a minute to no rush, no pressure.
No rush.
This is a live show, so thank you.
And while
I got
he works
you,
on this,
Jones.
Crypto Jones, shout out, good shout on that as well. And his
headphones is Aura. That's funny.
That's what it is,
it's a
dude.
fucking big fat thing right now. But is it better now? I can like talk a little bit more silent than it does.
No, try so if you go at the
microphone
bottom,
input,
StreamYard, you can go select your input and just make sure it's choosing your mic versus your computer's mic, which it sounds like it's pulling from. No headphones is plus Aura. Yeah,
OG, bro.
Yeah, I need to get more into like live streaming and doing podcasts, right? So this is my first time.
It's a live show. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah. And you know what? It's not the end of the world, but of course we want those crispy clips for you. Yeah, OG. It's like, dude, I wish I could take this headphone off. Just let it flow. So much negative aura here. Now, with this said, though, as he's kind of prepping this, I want to, I guess, talk through some of the thinking behind a token, right? It's like crypto has largely been successful over crypto native experiments, right? Like L1s, L2s, uniquely crypto products have been the most successful in the history of crypto. And so I think there's this culture we have right now, largely coming from people who've been burned over and over and over again by serial devs who farm, make false promises, give nothing back to the holders, which is like rightfully so. Holders expect, a lot from devs after what we've been through. But on the other hand, it's also like the more we promote this culture, we lose out in the experimentation phase. We have devs that don't want to launch a token. This is a big thing we see today. I just don't want to launch a token because XYZ. because I know I'm going to get the pitchforks and flames coming at me by the community if I do anything wrong. I have constant stress and hate, and if it fails, I'm going to get doxxed and people are going to hate me for the rest of my life, and I'm basically blacklisted from crypto. And it's like, yes,
but if
we
it
understand
succeeds,
that.
you're the hero and you create a lot of value for other
Exactly.
people, right?
Exactly.
So it's like you don't want to dampen experimentation, because ultimately we want experimentation in crypto, and there's that fine line. Hazar, I'm not sure if you've been able to figure that out, but I'm just gonna.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's a bit better, potentially.
Is it better?
Yeah,
I think-
we'll
yeah,
go
we'll work
with
with
it
it.
for now. We'll work with it for now.
I hope you can forgive me. I'm going to buy some more rugs and everything on the wall for the next time. So
Yeah.
it's less like
It's a dev,
and everything.
classic dev living quarters. Just
Bro,
walls.
you don't want to see my living room. You just get like it's absolutely insane.
All right.
It's just the second table, but yeah.
I do want to ask about your V4 launch, though. I really want to get into this meat and potatoes here. You know, we talked about the previous projects. I think we understand kind of this culture around, you know, developers building business. What happened with V4? What made you see that this was coming? Walk us through the V4 token launch and the platform launch.
So it actually started like 1 month ago, like one and a half month ago. There was like, I really admire these people who have like these crazy infrastructures and platforms, because it's pretty much, at some point, if you're really good enough in that, it's a self-running system where you can just adjust and upgrade stuff. And I was kind of tired of these like token launches, because first of all, you get that hate. That's just like you guys saying, you cannot really publicly step up and say, oh, I'm launching multiple coins. It's not right. Even though you're not like scamming or something, it just doesn't like, people don't like it. And I said, I need something where I can work on long-term on a project, because I've seen so many so absolutely crazy good coins who still went to like zero or didn't succeed just because the market doesn't like it. Like it's attention markets, they rotate, they're not interested in it, in holding long-term. So I said, you know what, I want to work on a platform. At some point I was thinking about a trading terminal, but then I just said, you know what, fuck it. And I gotta be honest, I started to see the whole V4 tech and the whole potential like 1 months ago. But then on ETH, someone launched a project that was called SALT, SA1T, right? And I said, fuck, because I talked with a friend about the idea. Like I said, bro, we could launch like a V4 platform basically. And that guy launched it. And I said, okay, chance is gone. That guy is the first one. There's no competition anymore. And then he rugged, right? He scammed. And yeah, I'm not happy about that people lost money, but I was happy about it that there's a chance again. And I just said, because I've seen that a few ETH mainnet coins start to get attention again. Sato, Unipack, that 01 coin started to slowly get up. And I mean, since I'm a professional dev, I'm trying to like front run and foresee the market on what will be interesting. And I said, you know what, that might be the chance now. And I just did it. And I gotta be honest, I didn't expect this to like pick up this fast. I thought like, because I was in the beginning undoxed, I didn't have like some fucking like KOL friends or something who helps me, and it's on ETH, right? There's not much attention, but all of a sudden just like started to went crazy. So I was really happy about that, but I thought that would take more time.
Yeah, you can thank our co-host who covered a V4 at like 400, 500K, and then it ripped to like 6
Thank you very much.
million,
We can share the revenue of the whole ecosystem as well if you want. So
Hey, I'll send you a wallet. We
Yes.
need it to keep our show going, so we do
But
appreciate
people often underestimate the distribution you can get from launching a token. Like
Yeah.
if you have
100%.
the product, it is second to none. And so with that being said, I think also a lot of people they're hearing V4 and we're hearing the buzzwords. Everyone's like, V4 is awesome, V4 is cool. Many people don't understand what a V4 hook is and what Uniswap created in that. Can you maybe just high level talk us through what the heck is a V4 hook?
So you can understand it like this. A V4 is basically, again, a token that you can just create, but it's more like, it's really just like our name said, it's programmable. Means you can, it sounds stupid, but a V4 token can be anything you want. It can be an asset, just like a regular coin, but adjusted with special fees, with 10 different split addresses who receive the fees, to adjust, for example, the tax or like the swap fees at some. If the weather is good, the swap fees are up. If it's snowing outside, all of a sudden the tax and like the swap fees are at 0, for example. You can do the craziest stuff with it. You basically program a token and combine it with, if scenario A happens, then scenario B can happen as well. Like I can probably explain in German better, so I'm trying to like go in English right now. So it's basically a chain of events that you can possibly do. Like, for example, I think it makes more sense to give some examples. Like, as I said, a regular boring token with better adjustments that you can just like work on. Doing anti-snipe tech, like the first 10 seconds, it has 99% of text. Then now you can go absolutely stupid. Like, you can say, I'm connecting this token to a Tesla, to a satellite, and to the weather statistics, for example. And whenever that Tesla drives at this time, this roads and collecting data for this project, he automatically gets tokens minted. Means like he's getting paid for the data he's earning. And you can do that, all of that in the contract, right? So like you can just do the most stupidest thing you can imagine. Like, for example, Kintara, that coin on Solana, right? Yeah. It's, you play the game, you can, as far as I know, like trade the coin itself inside, but it's not hard-coded inside as far as I know. It means like if the dev just wants to say, you can like, fuck yourself, I don't want to do it anymore. As far as I know, it's over. But you can now hard-code basically all of these things. The game with the coin means, oh, don't show the website. It looks absolutely disgusting right now. We're working with the designer team right now.
No,
They're
okay.
working on it, making it super nice.
No. Your website's not disgusting. This was actually one thing that I really enjoyed about your website. It is making my StreamYard lag, but I thought your branding was great, by the way. I really like it.
Thank you very much.
It's very beautiful. Before we get too kind of in the technical weeds of what you can do with V4, can you just talk about what your Launchpad specifically does? Like, you have a first version of this that had 2 contract types. And then you did like stock paired, but now you're doing this 15, you kind of have this like open source hackathon for 15 submissions. Can you just talk about like the first version of programmable, and then now what this is from a launch type perspective now with this kind of submissions?
So the plan in the beginning was, I'm going to create a platform where I am going to do the craziest hook templates for everyone, and everyone can just launch their own hook with that template basically. But the problem is you have thousands of people seeing the template, and now I need 2 days for one hook. So every 2 days, thousands of people are just fighting for the same hook. So everyone is just launching the same coin. That didn't make sense in the long run, right? And so I started with the regular coin, the classic one, and then the stock paired token to like have some stuff lined up. But I quickly understood there is no time for stuff like that. I cannot just do 500 hooks by myself, because first of all, I don't have these crazy ideas by my own. I'm one human being. I have to focus on multiple things. So how can I outsource and scale these things properly? So like, I mean, in the end, I want to have a platform, right? I don't want to be the main character of this platform. So I have to open source it. Everyone should be able to fork it. I hope someone does even the back code better than me, so we get like faster forward. And that's why we did the hackathon. I mean, it's like $10,000. That's quite a lot for a project that just starts and just by 1 week. So the money is, I would really say that's like, if I would see that, I would say that's free money. You know, I would actually think about just applying myself now. So it's pretty, it just should animate the people to create hooks, and my job is, I think, to give everyone the playground, just like with the hook submission and everything, and just like get things rolling to begin with. So I got to be that inspirational guy to show people what's possible, because a lot of people talking about hooks, like it's just, you can add tags, like these boring ideas, for example, right? So we need to give them an edge on how crazy it can go, for example.
So we have 10 minutes. I want to get to this vision, what this platform is. So again, V1, couple templates, V2 now has 15 or whatever templates. So programmable is a platform where you can launch any type of token. You mentioned the Tesla driving down the street and whatnot, and connect into the weather and stuff like that.
And this is low code, no code?
Come again?
And this is all low code, no code. Like, I don't have to be a developer to come in here and do
No, you can be. The only thing you really, that's why the landing page says like tokens that behave how you imagine. I created a skill that you can just copy, put into Codex, Claude, ChatGPT. And if you don't have that $200 subscription, I even posted it, just come up with a good idea, I'll pay for it. Like, we're cool with that. And you just tell him an idea. He has a brainstorm function. I built that in. And then you just tell him the idea of the hook. He builds everything for you, rug-free, fitting to our requirements to our website. The GitHub bot basically automatically audits it, that it's really safe. And then you can launch the coin. Just like the pump fund coin, you just give the ticker, the name, the picture, and the whole contract, everything is in the background, basically. So you just need the stupid idea. You want to say, hey, I want to do a Pokemon coin, right? So that's the whole idea, is that this platform should be a no-code, only ideas hook platform for everyone. If it's a very serious thing for a big company, for a research lab, with the, as I said, with the data collection, with someone who wants to do a Ponzi, with, you know, like buy 10% tax fees, and then we buy this and that, and then we distribute it to the holders. And a regular meme coin, you can connect on-chain the bot to the agent. So this platform should be every type of creative, insane coin
I think
idea at once, basically.
What really excites me about this is like just assets trading around news events, right? I think it'd be really interesting to really promote speculation before news events. So you have bots or quick click traders that aren't just benefiting from seeing an announcement before everybody else making prediction. I think it'd be really cool to see, you know, hey, maybe we have Q2 earnings report from Robinhood, right? Robinhood's doing their Q2 earnings report. Taxes are going to increase every single minute up until that earnings report is, and then decrease simultaneously as well. So 30 minutes before it starts increasing, 30 minutes after it starts decreasing. And now anyone that's trading quick click or trading based on this announcement or the news of Q2 earnings has to pay a higher tax or a higher fee. And maybe that flows back into the holders who've been in earlier. I think like that's a very interesting use case. Would that be something that's possible with a V4?
That is an absolutely great idea. And I hope someone who's watching should do that. I'm even open, as I said, I'm open to pay the subscription. Just go for it, right? Because you have nothing to lose. And for example, if someone's here hating on the token launches, just create the hook template and let someone who wants to be like serious about it and really wants to build that. Like you can earn from the templates as well. If you have a cool hook, you'll get a percentage from the people who uses that hook to use a template. And you just gave basically a polymarket hook template that someone could build once. And now for every event, he can just create that basically. A hook for, all right, this is happening. Now we have an actual on-chain polymarket. While most of these on-chain polymarkets, as we see on Sol, like with the World, for example, it's just crypto payment, right?
But now that is now prediction markets.
Yeah, it's like most of the people are just connecting the token and give people the illusion of this is connected to the project. But now with the hook, that was a very good example. And that's what I meant with, I need to outsource the tools for people like you who are not into code, can just build that by, if you would give that sentence now, hopefully my agent with the skill that I created should be able to fully create that template within 3-4 hours, fully audited, safe on the platform, ready. Basically, that's like the whole vision of like, you have an idea, that was a great idea. And then you can just go for it with one sentence.
So this is fascinating. There are really no bounds to what you can create then. It just seems like you have access now to a smart contract where you can say, I want this, I want it to work this way, and it'll now just execute on that, which I think is pretty wild. Again, even for something like higher taxes around news events that flow directly towards holders is like a very cool use case. Maybe with that being said, walk us through the process of building something like this, because now we have an example. What would it take to actually execute on top of this?
So you're basically just going on the website. I right now I'm updating the website right now with the agents on. You go to create, all right, and then you have like these two options with either create the classic coin or the hook, and then it just asks you, do you use Codex or Cloud Code, right? I mean, you need to use one agent anyway, and then you just press on it, it opens the chat, and that's it. You just talk with him, and he automatically submits even the idea, what we are auditing and reviewing. So it's really, 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 like it's really simple. You just need to press on it, the chat opens, the prompt opens up. Like you technically need to do like 3 clicks if you're on our website. You give the idea and he does it within 1 hour. We review it and then you get a message, like we can work out some stuff like on Telegram or on WhatsApp or X. hey, your hook is reviewed and it's accepted, and that's it.
This is a good comment here that OG Ant has talked about, which is for me as a trader, V4 hook coins are super easy to hide malicious code and it is hard to buy any with confidence early on. Programmable removes that hesitation for traders. Look, we see Uniswap V4 or Uniswap, sorry, is launching a Launchpad on Robinhood for this exact reason. Build trust around deployments. I saw the hand. I need the comment. Why?
It's like, so I don't know why they did that. I gotta be honest, I was kind of like shaking yesterday because I felt like, bro, please, there shouldn't be like V4X because like all my fucking work is just like, but I don't know why they did that. Like Pons did a great job, right? Baker is there for so long, does a great job. Everyone is here. Why do we need another Launchpad, right? And he just came up with that idea with no one should earn fees, but I don't agree with that. Like, I'm not here I gotta be honest, I'm not doing this here for free, right? Everyone is here in the end for money. So if we don't earn money through fees, what am I going to do is I'm going to bundle the coin with 90% and I'm just going to rape everyone who's buying the coin. And that's like, that won't work in the long run. So that's why these fees is a good idea. And he should just let people do their thing like how it works. Another reason why I said what I want to say is, people expect founders to understand market culture and like on-chain, have on-chain knowledge. For example, Brian Armstrong, I don't know if you saw that with the profile picture change.
Sure.
And everyone just hated him because he's so out of touch all of the market, right? Same now with Hayden. Like these people are, I mean, there might be good founders, but they don't understand like on-chain culture. So I think it makes more sense to have these founders who actually live this, like use this and know these problems and solutions, right? So, I mean, he can do his thing, but I'm just glad that he didn't do V4 hooks. So I have like my green light to just do and go for my thing.
Got you. Yeah, you also mentioned with like how this is going to look, and we kind of derailed from that. So I want to talk. You're on the platform. You have a V4 hook or a token launch. And again, I find this very interesting. Can you customize the V4 hook after the token has launched? For example, if I'm a team, for example, I'm you. I'm going on MCG. I know I'm going to go on MCG, and I know that there are going to be people that are going to trade off the information on MCG. Could I then go and adjust, even after my token's already been launched, can I go and adjust maybe taxes for this period that I'm going to be on the call to make sure people don't like front run or trade off of it?
So officially right now not, but it will be available, but it will work like, let's say you update text, you have to get an approval first, right? So once we have that trust established from people, and they know, all right, this platform would never do something like malicious or anything, then we will give everyone the option to do the like craziest changes basically with their contract, as long as we approve it. We will audit it, see, are they like blacklisting or like do they a honeypot or something else? And then we will allow it by some time. Not right now, but that's the plan. Because that
it seems like a very simple answer to this is just a decision market, a futarchy market like MetaDAO does, where if you want to update the V4 hook or update the token, you have to pass through a vote. And the token holders can
it's a great idea.
Determine that.
Great product idea, Dom. I love that. I do have a question around what the business is here. So you have theoretically these 15 templates go live. Everyone's tripping over themselves to deploy tokens like Pump Fund and like Meteor DBC. And are you clipping fees? Like, how do you make money? How does the platform make money? What does that mean for token holders?
Maybe there's a misunderstanding with the 15 submissions. It's just people right now, like individuals who are submitting their own launches right now, right? We have the partnership from yesterday with BaseSplit. These people are working for over a year and they have over like, I think 15 very complex hooks for every chain, Robinhood, BNB, Base, ETH mainnet, even for Solana and Mega ETH. For why ever, like for Mega ETH, but and like we already have 15 templates. Then the Aeon framework, the team is adding right now, where I just gave them the access
shout
like
out
2 hours
Aeon.
ago.
They've been on the show. Great team.
They're super they're like very locked in. Like they're super nice. So I'm very glad that they're on our
talk about
side.
that partnership. What's that mean for programmable?
The partnership it's beneficial for both of us because they have absolutely crazy going agents and he's moving super fast with the market and with the trends. And I don't think he want to like manage all of these like platform stuff. So I just give him an access to our platform he adds all of his templates and hooks, and people will launch it and benefit off of that. How do I earn money from that, for example? It's pretty easy. We're taking 10%, not 10%. It's like 0.1% of the whole volume. All right. It's 0.1%. I will
points.
10 basis points. We will publish everything, the docs and everything on your website as well, so everything is transparent. It's 10 basis points, and then half of it goes into buybacks into our main token, and the other half was planned to, I didn't announce that yet, but to basically reward the token holders from our main coin. Means like you believe in the whole ecosystem, you buy our coin, you hold it, and you profit off of the revenue we create. Me and my team basically will earn the money from our main coin, because I gotta be honest, I think I will make enough money with my coin to push this project, to have some money for myself and everything. I don't need to get every penny from every project, right? So I'm kind of benefiting off of the project succeeding in my ecosystem. So it's purely planned into having low fees, and these low fees are basically going into buybacks and holder rewards.
So let me make sure I'm recapping this correctly. 100% of fees that are generated from this protocol, really at least currently, you're thinking are going to go back to holders in the form of 50% in terms of buybacks, potentially burns as well, and then the other 50% potentially dividended out to holders in terms of, maybe based on how long you've held, maybe based on how much you hold. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but that's 100% of ecosystem fees. In terms of like upkeep and making sure you guys can iterate and hire new developers, how are you thinking you can do that?
That's what our main coin is for, because I am in the end earning 1% swap fees from our main coin. That is one thing. Luckily, we made enough volume to have some money on the side now in the long run, even if we don't have any volume for like 3 months, right? So we're pretty, we have enough money now for every update, so like getting a better team. Like I'm having a call with my lawyer and everything, so we have to register everything properly. And with the buybacks, basically, you're creating volume into your main coin, right? And I'm making money through that. Plus, we won't do burns. We probably, like what we already did with basically most of the money is we're adding it into a liquidity pool, because like this, we got rid of the coins. We did buy pressure from the revenue, and the quality of the token just gets better, because the token goes a little bit up and is more sensitive if it's burns, but no one can still sell properly without just killing the coin, right? So in the long run, I don't see it making sense for, like, at least for now, until the liquidity pool is thick enough.
I got you. Okay, so then to fully wrap this in, there's 3 buckets here. You have the main token, which has 1% fees. You're going to be taking those fees and using that for development of the platform. Now the platform
and everything.
Got you. And now the programmable platform, you're going to take half of those fees that are going to go towards buying back the main token, which is V4, as well as another 50% potentially going to dividends to all the holders. And are you able to bake that into a V4 hook to where that happens automatically through a smart contract?
Of course, everything. The buyback is already in a contract. We just posted that yesterday. We posted yesterday that it's, I think at what time, at like 2 p.m. it claims the fees, the 0.1%, and then basically does the buyback with half of it, and the other half is just getting sent to the dev wallet right now. And the second part would be do weekly snapshots based off of amount holding and maybe like the length and everything. I have to work out the catalyst, but everything will be on chain, so no one has to just trust on our word. Probably in a hope, yes.
I got another question around the token. How much of the token do you personally own and hold? And I don't know if you've disclosed that or not.
I don't mind talking about that. Like we have the, I think I own like 1.5% on the dev wallet with the, what is it? With the ecosystem wallet. And I bought like around 1% to hold up the floor the last days so we don't drown. But we will probably just put them step by step into the liquidity pool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
My second question is, you had a lot of hype, some initial launches. Some of the tokens on the platform went up to like 300K, 400K. They're back down at like 20K or whatnot. How do you get that volume back? Like, it's kind of like an initial spark, but how do you recapture A, deployers, but B, volumes
You
especially
gotta
on
imagine.
mainnet, especially on mainnet with Robinhood being so hot and Uniswap being hot.
You gotta imagine now that the tonight the full audit release and the launch gates will be open for the hooks. The coins you're seeing with the volume were just stock paired coins or regular meme coins, right? They weren't custom individual hooks. We have like around right now, I think 20 people waiting for me to update the platforms. Like we have 20 open source teams that will launch their own tech. That is, some of them are cool, some of them are basic, and some of them are super experimental and interesting. So that's what the hackathon is for. If you can earn $10,000 weekly, and I think we can afford right now to really go crazy with that, to push these people to create cool stuff, we will get the launches by time. And now you got to imagine none of them is a regular meme coin, but everything is experimental and cool, right? So you will see these interesting projects. Best example, Banker didn't have one regular meme coin. They did it, or like went for tech coins, and people like that because it's if the project is good, people are buying it. And I'm very confident in that whenever this tech is out, people will go for it. You gotta imagine you see some V4 coins, but they don't get any exposure because they will be flagged as a honeypot or a rock or anything. So that's why the platform is there. I hope that people, if they want to do a hook, they'll just do it on my platform.
So maybe we could start talking towards a bit of roadmap here as we get towards wrap. I want to kind of understand how you go to market here. We were talking about how we can get this excitement to continue and sustain on the platform. Are you guys going to offer this on all EVM, Robinhood, Base, or is this just ETH mainnet? Okay, so you will. With that being said, it feels like this is very much like a white glove service. People that are looking to highly customize tokens, highly customize what can be done with tokens. And so it almost seems like you need to take that hands-on approach, which seems like you're going to. With that being said, how do you reach out to these teams, evangelize to these teams that may want this much more customized approach where you're going to have to give them a lot of time and effort into building these custom V4 hooks out for them? What's your thinking there in terms of, hey, this is going to be a democratized Launchpad versus we're going to actually have to build out the pipeline a bit of ourselves and do some of the heavy lifting there?
If you think about it, I mean, our goal, and pretty much we are reaching that goal, is you don't need long, you just need an idea, right? So it technically should take you like 12 hours to create a Twitter account, have a very good idea, build everything, let it audit from us, everything is ready, right? So like within 12 hours, you should be able to, even the absolutely most fucked up idea, you can do that. Within 12 hours with $300 basically. So you just have to... AI, you have the AI, and that's what we don't want to do. I mean, everyone is going for AI with stuff. Why wouldn't it be contract addresses, right? So it's fast, it's efficient. As long as the idea is good and you're actually going for it and work it out, it should be fine. And the way what we want to do is, like, first of all, it's not that unattractive in terms of, oh, it's too much work for me, because it's probably even like easier because you don't have to pretend that it's actual tech. You don't have to convince people because everything is directly open sourced and shown. This is the thing. And how do we approach the market? As you asked with the multi-chain, Base, that the collaboration is a great team who already front run that gives me the access from, I hope if I'm working again for the whole night, until tomorrow, that you will have over 15 ready, very cool, customized, audited hooks on Base, ETH, Robinhood. We got a lot of people asking us that. BSC, where a lot of volume is as well right now. So we're not just staying on mainnet. I just wanted to start on mainnet because I just saw there's no competition, no attention at all. And that's kind of, I like that, right? So you have like the calm people who just looking at the coin. So it's really like, you see so many interesting projects that really succeed by, in my opinion, I just slop. But now you can do really interesting, crazy stuff. So I'm pretty sure people will come up with it because people are getting tired of like these meme coins at this point.
Well, people will come up with it. Some of it you're going to have to do yourself. But I want to talk about timeline on this Robinhood and Base and Binance. Do you have a rough estimate on when this is going live and when people can expect it?
If I'm getting enough coffee tonight, it will probably tomorrow in like 24 hours. We'll have
Whoa.
We got,
get that coffee then.
That's a lot of coffee.
Bro, I'm drinking like so. I'm using pre-workout overnight just to stay awake.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sleeping on this chair, so I don't feel too comfortable. So like if I'm going into bed, I swear I slept probably like daily 2 to 3 hours since I launched this fucking project. So I'm like, there's a sleep.
Well, stay healthy, but that's incredible.
Yeah, we can be like healthy into like if everything works from itself, then I'll probably take a day off, but we can talk about that later. Yeah, we'll probably be hopefully tomorrow. And the custom launches, it will be I'm like right now the last audit checks are there, so I'm really hoping to like be in like let's say 3-4 hours, and then these 15 submitted people have the green light to launch, or if you have your own idea, you will do it. That's like for the multi-chain, right? Then the next phase on the roadmap is like once we're everywhere, everyone can just launch. And the hook, if you have the ID, you just tell them do it on this chain, do it on this chain, do it on this chain. So it's you just telling him. You don't have to do more. You have to like fund the wallet and everything, but it's like a 1-minute thing. So the next steps is what we were planning. We want to be the security like scanning layer for these V4 hooks as well. Because for example, I love to use FOMO, right? And on FOMO, all these V4 hook coins are getting shown as scam, honeypot, unsellable token and everything, while the tokenomics and the contracts are totally fine. You see a coin at 100K market cap and you cannot buy it until it's at 2 million, right? Even though the coin was safe. Our plan is to be that type of scanner for GMGN, for Axiom, for FOMO. I pretty much prepared all the docs today, so I will release them today. So if these platforms are open to integrate it, they can do it. We want to be like everything around V4 hooks, the platform where people get the exposure, the service where you can build it, the incubator as well. As I said, we're starting small with the $200 subscription, but if someone comes, says, hey, I need a project with a thick liquidity, I need like 5K and I am this, that, we're open to pay for it as well. Because like it's in my biggest interest to bring these launches forward, right? Without me shilling them or anything, I don't want to be one of these founders where people try to just get my exit liquidity. I don't want to have to do anything with that.
Interesting deploys coming. Are you talking to interesting teams deploying tokens? When will they deploy after the 15 contracts go live?
We have actually, I have like 2 pretty interesting devs who want to launch, and I will try to let them like just have a fair launch, nothing announced or something, because I've seen that with Banker and Virtuals, that whenever you announce or like somehow show a collab, people have a lot of expectations, and when the coin goes down, I'm the farmer and I am responsible for it. So I want to stay away from that. We will support them and help them financially if needed in private, and we don't want to have any credits or nothing with that. So it should be like status goes.
We got to start wrapping. I have 3 questions I want to spit at you real quickly from the community here. RJ's got a great question. How will hook templates be verified/audited for safety, ensuring no malicious code is being hidden?
That is, everything is actually open source right now on our GitHub. I will release for you that question today as a post as well. Like we will have, there is an audit check right now. I'm automating it right now. That it just checks that the token is always sellable, that it's not a honeypot or like some blacklisted tech. So we are just making sure you cannot get hard rocked like back in the ETH times. We are not restricting anyone in any tech. It still can be a farm. It still can be some guy who just wants to take your money, but the tech always will be verified that it fully works. We are going through, and we are making sure with the audit that it's basically
30-second takes. 30-second takes, and we gotta go.
Are you the dev of NipMod on Base? Was that one of the previous projects you worked on?
Yes, that was one of the previous projects. I feel like 3 months ago. It was on Base. It was like packaging, a safety packaging service back then, because there were a lot of malicious packages going on softwares and everything, and I tried to build the software that was preventing that back then.
Has that been sunsetted?
Sunsetted? You mean like the project is
shut down? Yeah.
Yeah, it's shut down. Like I'm not going to work on 2 projects at the same time. Base was just getting raped at some point. No one in Base were supporting their founders. Another reason why I didn't do it on Base. They're not supporting their community, so why would I try to keep building there?
Fair enough.
I didn't like, they don't do it, so.
We have to wrap here.
Can we expect SVM, Solana, not SVM? Yeah. Can we expect Solana at some point? It's a whole different code base.
Solana is already, it's in, I don't know if I said it, with the partnership with Base, but we have Solana in as well.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
This is set.
Hazar, there was a lot there. I mean, we could have just kept spitfiring for hours, but V4 hooks are very, very interesting. Like, there's a lot of cool, novel things I think can be worked in. Specifically, trading around news events, I think, is one that's extremely interesting.
I will work that out for you. I will personally work that out. The template, I will do the template, and then we'll see the next day.
We'll send you our wallet address if insane volumes.
I need you as an advisor because you have like pretty good ideas at this rate, so we can talk about that. So yeah,
Right.
I will definitely
Hazar.
work something out.
We gotta go. Good luck.
See you,
and
Hazar.
love.
Thank you very much for having me, guys, and yeah, see you the next time, and hopefully.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
TLDR, man, that I think there's pretty exciting stuff. I think what it comes down to.
Programmable is cool. I mean, I own the token and I've been doing a lot of due diligence on it. I do like the play. I mean, Ethereum mainnet, I think, could see a little bit of action. But anyways, really
Catalysts are it's expanding to Robinhood, it's expanding to Solana, it's expanding to Binance, so on and so forth. Also, I just think it comes down to, look, he made all his money originally. He said he's got enough money to build out a team, build out what he needs to. That's what it comes down to for me. How is he going to steward this money? What's he going to use it for? What can we see this go towards the right things? Can we see this going to scout programs? Can we see this going to so on and so forth? Because we see so many Launchpads have great ideas, but they misuse that money that they get. So nonetheless, really, really cool stuff, guys. We need to pivot here.
Yeah, we need to pivot. DLM on Meteora, guys. Sorry, that's giving a breath. This one right here. Use the MCG ref code. Go stake your MET tokens. Meteor DLMing is really important because the next guest launches RWA tokens on Meteor. And one really positive EV thing you can do, and what I was doing, was providing liquidity to hot tokens on Robinhood, one being CASHCAT. CASHCAT just ripped from $40 million up to like $200 million. And you could be providing liquidity in that environment, which prints you fees. So go to meteor.ag-ref-mcg. We have 19,000 of you who have watched this stream. Go follow MCG. Also, our guests or our X handles are on our thing, bottom left of our screen. Mine's Mint Josh, De Niro Dom. Go follow us on X. To tee up the next guests, Dom, anything more to add?
Actually, I got to change. That's not even my X handle. I think my X handle is NarrowDom0. But I'll tee up the next guys here, guys. We've had Ratchet on before in the past. We think what Sunrise is doing is so incredibly cool. And for those that don't understand, basically Backpack has a brokerage and Sunrise is a Wormhole Labs product that allows for tokens to be bridged on chain onto Solana. And so, again, we see Solana kind of becoming the retail hub where everyone can go and trade. And we're seeing that's where a lot of the traders are these days. So their theory, I think, I'm not going to speak for them, is to bring all those assets to where the traders are. And, of course, we've seen this with some big ones in the past. Notoriously, the SpaceX listing was incredibly successful, which is what kind of kicked this off. I think we've seen them go from $3 billion to closer to $6 billion notional volume traded on RWAs. We're seeing them bring Robinhood assets over. We're seeing them bring, today, Take-Two, which is the parent company of GTA 6 over. So they're doing some really, really cool things. Bow, bow, bow. to kind of wrap this in a bow, I think we want to have a conversation today of like direction of RWA, because a year ago, this was not a thing. Today, it's a very prominent thing. We see Robinhood trying to really take its shape as the RWA chain. And of course, we're seeing a lot of that volume happen on Sunrise and Solana. So this is the conversation today. Updates, state of RWA. This is going to be a banger. Without further ado, Ratchet, welcome back to MCG, man. You guys are hot.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much. I feel like every time I'm in the waiting room, I feel like I'm so hyped to be talking to you guys. Obviously, the show looks a little different than than it looked like when I was on last. You guys have new sponsors. You guys are always growing. The Ali poster in the back there, Dom, looks fucking awesome as well.
Let's go.
Hey,
excited to be here. Right?
I'm thinking I print out Ansem's PFP and just put it on Muhammad Ali here as the face.
No, that's blasphemy. That's straight up blasphemy. You can't do that.
maybe a photo of Ansem versus BitBoy. That's probably
there. Oh yeah, I should just print out an equal size BitBoy right here and put it there, and yeah. That's some lore right there. If you guys know, you know, man. Back in the day, we had the boxing.
That was
matches.
the market top, wasn't it? Was that fight? It basically was.
Well,
yeah.
Are we surprised? Yeah, Trump and the crypto boxing event put in the top for us, but that's on us, honestly.
I'll share some alpha. Like I've been training lately, so if the crypto fight night guys want me to fight on a card, I'll get in the ring. I will get in the ring this year.
Who? What's the X
I don't
handle
know.
of the
You
person you're
guys tell me.
fighting?
I'll tell you who. You gotta fight. I think you gotta fight.
So for context, I'm like 200 pounds, 180 centimeters, like 5'10" and a half. I can probably drop like 20 pounds before November. Like we could probably make something happen at breakpoint.
Do you have
maybe.
combat sport experience, or is this gonna be?
I used to box back in school.
Oh,
a lot of combat.
Yikes!
It's gonna be brutal for whoever's on the other side. I would say my vote is in. I think you should do the X stock, guys. If you get any of the X stock team,
If you guys can tee it up, if we can clip this out and we can tee someone up as like an opponent for me, I'd love to fight.
All right, we're gonna tag it. We're gonna get Solana to comment on it. So
that's hilarious, dude. MCG has to commentate on these fights. I would be happy to. I
know,
did boxing
honestly,
for a long time. So
I was seeing the WSOP stuff, and I was so jealous because like I don't know poker as deep as those commentators, but man, that was so fun to watch them play poker and whatnot. And I mean, I love playing poker, so yeah, Solana, get me on a table. Come on,
they're doing great. Yeah, and I honestly forgot to even cue it up. Before we get into this conversation, I want to also just thank our sponsors here, MetaDAO, $45 million raised. Best place to raise, and as a trader, you get full ownership over those tokens, so it's something you should be doing. Just had to cue it up, forgot to do it pre-show. With that being said, Ratchet, let's jump into it, because there's a lot going on with Sunrise. We're seeing the numbers accelerate. This is like the heartbeat of Solana right now, and discussions. RWAs are just the thing. Talk me through who you are, talk me through how you fit in on the Sunrise team, and then kind of what you guys are building, and we'll jump into updates after that.
For sure. So, for context, like Sunrise, think of it as more of a asset gateway for assets on Solana. Sunrise's first asset was Mon on TGE Day back in November. When that happened, it sort of started off as an experiment. We wanted to establish a market on day one and see what happens. The Monad reception was incredibly positive. We saw about 5,000 holders within the first week. There's a lot of trading volume. We started doing more of these TGEs, more of these tokens. We did SWI, we did AVAX, Hype, which continues to do like $1 billion of volume in like every 30 days continuously. So I would say up till more recently, we were doing most of these crypto assets. Then what we started noticing internally was a lot of these crypto asset volumes started going down, obviously with the bear market, with the sentiment, how it is. It was more about what else can we do and how can we expand this offering? If you call yourself an asset gateway, you probably don't want to just limit yourself to crypto assets, right? And the thesis for Solana has always been, to throw back to Tully in 2018, NASDAQ on Solana, or, Solana as fast as NASDAQ, essentially. So when Backpack Securities, Armani and Saeed, very close friends, by the way, when Armani and Saeed had this conversation about, how can we bring stocks to Solana, this was sort of the natural product that came about, where Backpack is the issuer, Backpack is the company that's making sure these stocks are legit, and then Sunrise is the distribution partner. So all the pools that you see set up, all the Meteora pools that you see set up, all the PMMs that are activated, all the marketing you see, that's all happening from Sunrise. Essentially the way, and I urge everyone to go read all the disclaimers on the Backpack Securities website, but the way it essentially works is every stock on Solana, so SpaceX, Intel, SanDisk, Micron, Take-Two today, each of these stocks on Solana are redeemable for the underlying stock. So you can transfer them to Backpack Securities, you get the underlying stock, but it doesn't end there. You can actually swap them out into other brokerage accounts. So if you have a Charles Schwab's brokerage account, you can swap them there. The past 6-7 weeks, 2 months have been really interesting.
Even before we jump there, I think I want to ask how this relates to competitors, and not to name a specific competitor, down any competitors, but the redeemable one-to-one asset I think is very important. And this, the composability between different brokerages is something no one else does. You say that loosely, but I don't think a lot of people understand, I guess, what competitors are doing in the space. So maybe just touch a little bit more on this offering you guys have.
Obviously, without naming any names, but I remember last time I was here, I think it was SpaceX Day. It was the first ever stock we did. We made a bang, and
Crazy.
I came on this live stream and I said, we have built this product similar to how stablecoins have been built. Stablecoins without borders. You have no friction doing stuff with Circle or Tether, for instance, and that's the experience we want people to have with our stocks, and we encourage competitors to do the same. Funny enough, within the week when we launched SpaceX, like we saw a lot of competitors come out, follow the same model, and we have no problems with that. Honestly, like this is the way that I think these assets should be promoted. This is the way on-chain finance is expanding, and it should be expanded. So yeah, a lot of the competitors, just for context, they will offer redeemability, but it's in the basis of cash only. So you give the stock, you get the cash equivalent back. A lot of our competitors now also offer the one-to-one, the ones that have security licenses similar to Backpack. But yeah, in terms of Solana,
which are not easy to get, by the way, right? Like Backpack's got like the big 3 licenses, EU, Mika, like whatever it might be.
You know how they got that?
Can you hear
on me?
Yeah, Ratchet. How did Backpack?
I don't exactly remember the details there. I remember some lore on CryptoSphere, and again, like please fact check me on this and call me out if I'm wrong. But I remember there's this story of like Armani's funds were stuck in FTX, and then the whole Mad Lads came, and Armani's been through a lot of hoops, and then he ended up buying FTX's Europe license or something like that. I don't remember the exact story.
Oh,
but that's something you guys should look into that.
We need to have Armani on the show. This will be a public call. We'd love to have Armani on because there's so much lore with Backpack and just Mad Lads and all that.
Yeah, because other people I think Coinbase picked up their derivative business, I believe, and then that became their license. But anyways, long story short, is just getting licenses has been historically hard. Now it's going to get a lot easier, I think, under this administration. But one question I had, and this is something as someone who provides liquidity to the tokens that you're launching, how does people know what's coming? Because right now, like I'm going to Sunrise's website. Is there a dashboard that shows which tokens you have launched and where you can kind of see them coming, or do I just follow your X account? Like, how do traders know?
In terms of tokens that are already out there, you can go to sunrise.xyz. We've done about, I think 28 is the number now, 28, 29 listings. All the tokens are listed there. All the pools should be listed there as well. If you want to provide liquidity, we don't have the feature of providing liquidity directly from the website right now. I think it's a great call out to add that in, to be honest. In terms of future token roadmaps, every time I've come on the show, I've always told you guys, we list what the trenches want, right? We've been doing the stock stuff. We've been doing this TGE stuff. I know the title today says CASHCAT Robinhood listing. I'm not saying anything, but hey, we listed CASHCAT on Solana on July 10th. I remember that pretty well because that was my birthday and I was up till 6 a.m. making this happen.
Let's go.
So
happy
birthday. So maybe talk about that. What does it take to list something like CASHCAT from Robinhood?
And then even to add on this too, like this was the first time you did a listing of this nature, if I'm correct. Like a meme coin from a different chain like Robinhood.
Well, it was popping off at the time. The whole RWAs on Robinhood stuff was popping off at the time as well. So the story of July 10th, again, I remember this pretty well. My girlfriend was pretty mad at me because I spent the whole day on my computer. It was July 10th. It was 9:30 a.m. ET. We listed SanDisk. We listed SK Hynix on Solana. This was the day it was available to the American public on the NASDAQ. And
Beautiful
then
timing.
We started looking on chain. CASHCAT was popping off. And it was pretty clear, like a lot of our sort of key traders, a lot of traders who do volume started pinging us like, hey, what if we did CASHCAT? And then it sort of just came about. This was not planned at all. This was probably the first listing we've done where the turnaround was like 4 or 5 hours,
Jeez.
To be honest. I can give you a little bit of insight into the technical.
So mechanically, are you going and acquiring the tokens on Robinhood, holding it in a wallet, and then issuing the tokens on Solana? Like, can you explain mechanically how it works? Because people are just not sure.
For sure. So, Wormhole itself does not have a direct route to Robinhood at the moment. Layer 0 does. So we used Layer 0's OFT to bridge over some, a supply that we had acquired on Robinhood, and we bridged it over, and that's how we curated the market, essentially.
Got it. Sorry, I'm just go ahead, Dom. Yeah,
no, okay, this is good. So you guys list CASHCAT. What are the learnings from this? CASHCAT was incredibly successful. SK Hynix, you drew a lot of stuff as the IPO.
Within 24 hours, I believe Rivu posted this stat, like 25% of all CashCat volume across Robinhood plus Solana was on Solana.
25%.
25% of daily CashCat volume was on Solana.
Whoa.
Within 24 hours.
That's
so-
like, and that's like saying you have a native traditional asset and then like 25%. Of course, this is cross chain, so it's a little different. But it's like, imagine you have a Nasdaq listed product and then 1/4 of the volume is happening.
I can give you an example with the Nasdaq as well. So I don't remember the date of this one because it wasn't my birthday, but Robo Strategy, Andrew Kang's new venture, we had listed that, and then I think the weekend after listing or the weekend after that, it did around $12 million worth of volume on a Sunday. And then when NASDAQ opened on Monday, it did 9 million. So Solana on chain on a weekend beat what the NASDAQ did on a weekday during trading hours. We see a lot of these data points. These data points are really interesting. We keep learning with each listing.
Absolutely wild. Talk me through the importance of like timing in these listings. I think what you guys have done really, really well up until this point is, from a timing perspective, you're listing relevant assets as they IPO, as they're going into, some hype cycle, as CashCat brand new, Take-Two as GTA 6 is the talk of the town. Talk to me about timing and how you guys are approaching the listing of assets.
I think there are two answers to this. One that I keep saying everywhere, like we list assets that traders want to list. But to be very honest with you, the way that I think about this is we're in the as much as people don't like to think about this way in terms of spot assets, we are in the business of providing volatility. Like even with spot assets, the way that crypto traders think, they do think in swing trades. They do not think in terms of like, hey, I will probably want to hold this for a day, like a year or two, especially when there are no lending markets available for these assets. Like we are trying to get some of these lending markets set up for like SpaceX and some of the higher volume stuff. But some of the data we've been noticing, these stocks tend to be swing trades, and around the, I don't want to say Leopold era, but the Leopold era, like you can kind of clearly see people trading Micron, SanDisk, based on how the timeline was perceiving it. So there's an aspect in terms of we also have to think like a perpdex in terms of listings. Some of the same logics apply here as well, but more sort of broad level. Obviously, list what people want, but then you also need catalysts alongside. Like, why should people care about the assets we list, right? Like Take-Two, for instance, not available anywhere on chain, right? This is the first time it's available on chain. I don't even think someone's ever thought about doing this. We got really lucky in terms of the Netflix announcement coming out today, but there was an earnings call tomorrow, for example, right? Like this was extremely planned from our team. Like we wanted to make full use of the earnings call tomorrow. There was also rumors on Twitter that they had moved their earnings call 3 hours ahead from the typical time that they do it. So we were suspecting that there was going to be another trailer come out, which would give us another push in terms of putting this across the line. So that was one aspect of it. Again, like Take-Two is a very interesting example because this asset was never available on chain, and people have a reason to care about it. But for past listings, let's think about SanDisk, right? Or let's think about Intel, or let's think about Micron. These assets, there are other variants of these assets. How do you attract mindshare? The liquidity obviously has to be better for these assets versus competitors, which is something that our team takes care of. But if you notice, if you look back, a lot of our asset listings come back to like key moments, right? Like we listed SanDisk before earnings call. We listed Intel before earnings call. Earnings call has been a great indicator for us in terms of an asset providing volatility for people to want to buy and sell those assets. So there are a lot of factors, but we can name all the micro factors and micro decision-making factors that we have. Like perpdex volume, again, like I would say is a great factor in terms of, is there even on-chain demand for this asset? Like Take-Two, again, like there's no perp venue for this. So this is like completely new. This is just us taking a bet on the Solana ecosystem wanting this, right? But in terms of Micron, SanDisk, SpaceX, all these other companies, like you have on-chain data to prove like, hey, okay, if these perpdexes are doing this much volume, spot must do at least this much volume. So there are a lot of different ways. But again, like, hey, if you're a trader and you want to trade size, always text me and we will bring those assets on credit.
Love it. This is an incredible market. I mean, I want to kind of pivot here and just talk about like state of RWA, specifically on Solana here. But, man, I think back, and you've been here. Not everyone in the chat was, though. A year ago, this wasn't really a thing, right? Stocks were still going crazy, but like it really started becoming popular. I remember the exact moment we talked about it with CASHCAT earlier from Derive was when Hyperliquid started listing commodities. And they listed gold during the run-up, they listed silver, and of course they listed oil during the Iran conflict. And this is when we started to see, I think, this emergence of RWA really happening, where it's like, okay, let's bring non-native crypto assets on chain and provide these to traders, because traders want access, but the truth of it is they want to stay, they want to get in where they fit in, and that's on the Solana blockchain with their native crypto wallet. They don't want to jump through the hoops of a broker, right? And so we started to see this happen. And a year ago, there was really no volume here, and I see this uptick I have via Blockworks on the screen. I mean, I even shot you low in the introduction here. I remember we were talking about this at like $3 billion, right when SpaceX got listed. In the last couple months or month or so, you guys have jumped over 100% in volume, from $3 billion to over $7.5 billion. What does growth look like? What does the direction of RWAs on chain look like? Just maybe walk me through your thoughts there.
So the way that we think about RWAs on chain, I would say we think about it in terms of each asset. Like our strategy has never been, let's just spray and pray all the assets onto Solana and let's see what sticks, and then we'll just focus on those markets. If you look at all of our assets, each asset has the appropriate amount of liquidity for traders to trade the size that they want. For example, the way that I think about RWA asset growth, I think the next unlock that we have or we're waiting for is the lending markets, to be very honest with you. And, there are two parts to your question. The first question is, where do we go? I also want to talk about how we got here and why this is such a big thing now. Let's be honest here. Like I would say a huge factor in stocks on Solana being as prevalent as they are right now, or stocks in general being as prevalent as they are. Obviously, it took us a while to get there in terms of providing these offerings, but synthetics or, you could always long or short 1x in terms of perp trading, right? Like you could always kind of do these things on chain, but the past sort of few months, or since the start of the year or November last year, the crypto trenches have been brutal. Like there's nothing happening as much. People have been off ramping. People don't really want to pay attention on chain. You always see this crypto rotation of like, we love to joke about this. It's like majors, alts, memes, back to alts, back to majors, and then off ramp. But the way that I think about it is we will see a shift in capital in a way that people may actually not need to off ramp, because the opportunities that they're looking for elsewhere, like if I'm off ramping as an Indian, I probably am going to invest into the Indian stock market. That's all that I can do with my money, or I can buy some bonds or something, right? The way that people will start thinking about this stuff is, okay, if I have money on chain, I can probably allocate it to stocks on chain, or I can do the T-bill stuff, or I can do so many other things with my money apart from pull it out and put it into traditional markets. Like there's a reason why the crypto trenches exist, and we will start seeing the rotation include these sort of more RWA style, stock style opportunities, because hey, crypto assets might be down, but memory has been on a fly, and they're still flying, post Leopold, I'd say. So where do we go from here is a great question, but understanding how we got here is equally as important, in my opinion. And then where do we go from here? Like in terms of, the direction that we see every stock on Solana. Right now, we're only doing US stocks. I'd love to do non-US stocks, to be honest. I think there's a huge opportunity. I've thought about this a lot in terms of, I've spoken to my family, I've spoken to a lot of people within my regional context. Like, I think within the next 10 to 15 years, if Solana and, we're able to do what we envision, we will see this great wealth redistribution in the world, because everyone will have access to equal opportunities. And that's where the crypto technology will take front seats, because everyone through these markets will have access to what traditionally US investors only have access to, for instance. For context, like if you want to invest into US stocks as an Indian right now, like you have to have about, I think it's like 50K you need to have before you can get access to those markets through like brokers. On Solana, you can buy a cent of it. No one's really going to stop you. right? So I think that's where we go from here. You know, it's more education in developing countries. It's more education to people who don't have access to these opportunities. I know the crypto sort of trenches environment looks pretty bleak right now, but I've personally talked to so many traders that were deep into the meme coin trenches. Like they were flipping multiple millions off every runner, and now they're investing into these stocks. They're still treating it as swing trades. Let's be honest, but at least they're looking to keep their money on chain. Is what we should look to achieve this cycle, and then from next cycle, that's where you will see things get more interesting because then the lending markets will exist. Then you'll be able to, you know, deposit your RWA tokens into perp dexes and get more leverage on them. It's just adding functionalities. You know, we've seen this with crypto.
I gotta get a question in here because this is actually one I really want to know. I mean, there's different assets that I've wanted to trade on different chains, and so you either have liquidity on mainnet, Robinhood, Solana to kind of be where you need to be, or you just stay on Solana, and those assets are also available there. CASHCAT being a great example, but it's not the only one. There are other compelling assets. Do you foresee that Sunrise has, like, I don't know, a quicker listing or a permissionless listing ability where it's like any asset on any chain can be available on Solana, basically?
Honestly, Josh, the amount of effort that goes into doing one of these listings, if we could turn it permissionless and have people do it themselves, you know, like I'd probably be out of a job first, and then it would just be the easiest process ever. Well, I think what people need to understand is there are a lot of nuances that are involved in curating a market like this. You know, like
maybe I'll give you a specific example. Asteroid blew up on mainnet, right? This esoteric token, and as it was running, I mean, it drew liquidity just because it was going viral. Like, how do you kind of keep liquidity on Solana, offer that trading opportunity, and do it as fast as possible is basically my question. I know it's an impossible problem, but
it's an interesting problem, and it comes back to liquidity. You need to have liquidity providers who are interested in providing that market for a long period of time. In terms of how crypto assets are performing right now and how the crypto trenches perceive LPing, I know there's a lot of, you know, we often only see the shiny headlines of like, hey, I'm earning 24, 26% LPing into Ansem or stocks of that nature. And, you know, I'm a big fan of LPing, guys, and I've rotated LP funds around as much as the other guy. But in terms of curating a market and ensuring liquidity for it, like if we were in the business of listing the hottest token and then, you know, pulling away all liquidity the minute that it wasn't running and we leave people holding the bag, that's not a great experience either. So what our team needs to make sure in terms of ensuring is that each market we are comfortable and we are confident that we can sustain the liquidity that is provided to that market so that no one's left holding the bag, for instance. That's the right answer for it. Could someone do it? Could we do it? You know, we've spoken about it internally. Theoretically, if you wanted to create a permissionless pool like this, like I'm not a protocol design expert, but I did talk to Claude about this once. The way that you could theoretically do it is you have an LP pool where people LP into the funds, LP into the pool, and that LP pool is then used to bring over these assets in a permissionless nature. And then you are like, sure, like Claude can tell me that, but is it feasible? Is it a sustainable business? I don't know. But okay, I will leave you with this thought. It is something that we're thinking about and something that, you know, if not permissionless, but at least automated, so that the first step towards making permissionless is making it automated, so that we don't have to go through the loops that we are right now in terms of technicals to make these possible. Once we're automated, then we can go permissionless. So it's step by step. Right now, every listing is pretty manual. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of coordination between the PMMs, the asset issuer in many cases. So yeah. I would say the road to permissionlessness goes through automation, and that's where we're striving for first.
Awesome. I want to actually touch on emerging markets a little bit as well. We've seen you're listing a lot of stuff that's IPOing on the U.S. stock exchange or U.S. stock market, NASDAQ, whatever it might be. We're also seeing, listing stuff like CashCat from Robinhood. should we expect emerging markets coming on chain? Of course, it seems like largely the vision here is meet people where they are. Hey, it's one thing we can go and onboard a bunch of people and show them that DeFi is maybe better for investing in stocks and whatnot. But maybe we're not quite there. So let's meet people where they are, which is on Solana trading, where retail is. They don't have access to emerging markets as it is, or for the most part, they don't. How are you guys thinking about emerging markets and bringing things outside the U.S. stock markets to on-chain like Solana?
So we've started to think about it. We've obviously gotten a lot of requests from traders to do this. Like, I would say Samsung is probably the biggest request. And then when CXMT, like all the stuff on Hyperliquid started happening, like a lot of people were asking about it. It's not a capability that we can do right now. And obviously we're restricted by legal restrictions on doing this. Like, we're still trying to figure that out. But the goal here is to do every asset on Solana, right? So if we're not here today, if we're not there tomorrow, we will be there in like 6 months, 7 months, however long it takes. But the Shanghai Stock Exchange or Hong Kong or India or Australia, like, we want to be able to curate experiences for these markets for every asset possible. And that is the goal, more or less. And it is something that we're thinking about, and it's something that we are actively working towards. I don't have a timeline in terms of when we will be able to make it possible. But there are obviously proxies to this. There are a lot of ETFs in the States that are able to offer like directional exposure. So DRAM, for instance, like Round Hill Investments DRAM ETF has CXMT, as part of their portfolio. So we actively think about these compositions in a way that we're giving direct exposure. That's our main goal. But if we're not able to do that, we do ensure our traders have directional exposure via some vehicle. In this case, DRAM for CXMT.
Nice, got you. Okay, well, I appreciate that answer. I would also want to.
Yeah, so he mentioned he had a hard stop at 2:30.
I'll go for it, guys. We can go 10. We can go as long as you want. I canceled my next meeting. Don't worry.
Okay. Wow. Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah, but you just let us know. Okay, I didn't know about the hard stop, so my apologies.
Don't worry, guys.
But yeah,
I canceled it. Don't worry. Let's go.
Okay, you're the man. So we have incredible growth. You mentioned Hyperliquid's doing $1 billion in volume every 30 days, which is insane to think about. Talk to me about the growth that you're seeing on the floor here. How you continue to get this to continue to increase and grow. Obviously, Take-Two listing today has $2.4 million already in the last 24 hours. That's been live for, not long at all at this point. Maybe walk me through growth, how you're seeing it, how you expect it to accelerate in the future.
Yeah, I think it comes back to, for the past month, we've been seeing two stocks dominate on Solana. They're Micron and SK Hynix. Again, like, we're in the business of providing volatility. If you think about volume, both buys and sells constitute volatility and volume, for instance. The way that I think about growth, again, like, it's just going to be repetitive. Like, I think we need to activate these DeFi markets for people to be incentivized to be able to hold these positions longer, right? Like, I want to be in a position where traders are not thinking about it as a swing trade, but more as a, how, what was the metric? Like, I remember seeing this metric last year where the average hold time of a meme coin was like 10 seconds on Solana. I'd love for this metric for assets on Solana or stocks on Solana to be like, hey, the average holding time for SK Hynix is 1 year. That's the aspiration that we have. Growth here looks like we need to increase holder count and we need to increase volume both, but holder count is what we want to focus on to get more of. We have a lot of top traders trading these assets. We have traders who are trading in size, and a lot of that comes from personal relationships with these traders. But the next step is we want these markets to be more accessible in terms of at least education, right? One thing that we're going to start doing with the Asia conferences coming around, like, Korea Blockchain Week, Singapore coming around, we're going to try to onboard a lot more trading desks to be looking at these markets. In a lot of these cases, the metric that I want to show them, I don't have the data on this right now, but theoretically, it should be easier for them to build a position on Solana versus going through a traditional desk, for instance. And that should be the value proposition for some of these bigger desks to be involved in holding positions on Solana. I was also talking to a lot of traders, and this is alpha for a lot of the traders on who listen to your show. there also exists a lot of arbitrage opportunities in these markets, between, again, this is just me talking to you guys as a trader myself. Yeah, this is not financial advice at all, but if you look close enough, there exists arbitrage opportunities in terms of the stocks that are provided on chain versus existing markets and maybe perplexes. So if you're not an avid trader of stocks, if you don't want to hold these stocks, maybe look at this. There are a lot of ways of getting involved. Obviously LPing, as you guys have said, is a great way to get involved, and maybe that's the proxy of providing yield on these RWA tokens right now. Like the thing that I've been thinking about the most is if these stocks we assume have higher holding time than meme coins. Well, since they're 10 seconds, like I would assume it is a lot higher than that.
Right.
How can you think about people turning to DEX liquidity? And that's probably a conversation with a lot of the DEXs, like, hey, how can we make sure that people who buy are actually LPing into this as well? So making sure that loop exists as well. So there are a lot of things to think about. There are a lot of things to think about in terms of growth. It's not just about increasing volume. It's holders, it's liquidity, it's adding more assets. I would say a lot of my time personally goes into, talking to traders and figuring out what assets they want. Our quant team on the other side focuses a lot more on price discovery and price ranges for these assets. Our product team makes sure that the website is good. Like everyone has a distinct role. But yeah, we're all working towards the same goal, which is stocks on Solana.
Can I ask about what you're seeing with arbitrage bots? You mentioned, there are some arbitrage opportunities, talking trader to trader here. Personally, when I think of like pre-IPO stocks that don't necessarily have a pricing oracle that's that's super, readily available and easy to follow, there's a lot of arbitrage opportunities in pre-IPO stocks. Are you seeing a lot of arb bots come in and arb out some of the prices between real stocks, or not real stocks, but on-chain Sunrise listed stocks versus stocks you can buy through a brokerage, or maybe that are same stocks that are offered in different venues? Is this something you've seen picked up in your analytics?
So the thing is that you can't really, and there was a really funny tweet about this the other day, like people on chain just look at one side of a hedged position and they copy trade it. And then, they kind of go
True.
down, not assuming that the other person is hedged, right? I personally, when I talk to some of our traders, they have mentioned it to me in terms of the arbitrage opportunity. It is a very small window, and they have a lot of professional equipment set up to avail these opportunities. Per se, I can't talk a lot about pre-IPO stocks because that's something that we don't do and I have no experience with. But based on what I've heard from a lot of our traders who trade in size, they have told me that this arbitrage opportunity exists. I actually don't have that much money to explore it myself, but theoretically, if you think about it, it does exist. You just need to figure out what size is good for you to explore those opportunities, is probably how I would think about it.
Okay, got you. Something else I want to touch on is you mentioned, expanding that user base and how you're going to do that. And I want to actually just like get your thoughts on this. We've seen a lot of these consumer apps on Solana, for example, Collector Crypt or even Derive we had on, very successful, printing hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. But we see the core user base is 500 to 1,000 active users per day. I'm assuming maybe it's something similar with Sunrise. How do you go from those 500 to 1,000 power users that you have that are churning volume, and maybe I'm wrong about this, so you can correct me, to something like a FOMO where we have massive amounts of retail just being onboarded, or who are already pre-existing traders that are using the app? Because like there still seems to be that disconnect where we have incredible consumer apps doing incredible revenues with such a small group of power users versus something like a FOMO, which is retail, much lesser size but much more amount, if that makes sense. And I probably skewed that, but general thoughts on that.
So a couple of thoughts on that. Firstly, I'm just looking at our dashboard right now. We actually have around 83,000 holders of Sunrise listed stocks on Solana right now. So I would say in terms of power users that we have relationships with, that number is probably it's probably closer to 100 than 83,000. But again, like, hey, if you are a trader and you'd like to interact with our team for some of the stocks that we have listed, like, hey, my DMs are always open. I would love to have conversations with everyone. Like, for example, if you tweet out a stock and you're like, hey, I want this on Solana, I'm probably in your DMs within like 6 hours. That's how proactive we are here. But you know, the holder count is actually larger than you'd think. It's around 83,000 right now. The best thing about Sunrise listed stocks, you mentioned FOMO, for instance. Sunrise listed stocks are available on FOMO. FOMO users can't buy these stocks. The best things about our assets is that we coordinate with all the different Solana terminals, and we are able to make Solana is structured in a way that if you build a pool on Meteora, for instance, you are able to be accessed by all the different routes, or you are able to be accessible to all the different markets available, right? Like you build a pool on Meteora, people can trade it on Jupiter, people can trade it on FOMO. It's not a problem, right? So that is what benefits.
Unique use case, and you're pretty much the only people facilitating it like you are. So I really do appreciate what you do. Maybe talk me through thinking in the future as more listings come, as you guys add emerging markets, as the growth and development happens. Where are you guys 3, 6, 12 months down the road from here? And I guess like what's top of mind right now, priority wise for Sunrise?
Yeah, I've been on the stream for about 30, 40 minutes. The one thing that I did want to say about Frontier Traders, I'll just check my phone to see if I can actually say this. So we're actually running a campaign with Frontier Traders right now as well. If you trade on Solana, take two, and you do about $100 worth of volume, we're doing a raffle style sort of competition where every $100 of volume you do on Solana is equal to one raffle ticket, and then the winners get GTA 6 as a prize. So, we're trying to run a raffle style competition. So for anyone listening in, if you want to trade take two, there are actually incentives for you to do that. Go check out Frontier Traders. But Dom, in terms of how we think about it in the next 3 to 6 months and 1 year, I think one of the goals we have, as you said, non-US markets, huge. We want to be able to access, avail all these. The amount of interest we see from people asking for these markets is intense. That's one focus. The other focus is we want to bring more assets from the US markets, obviously. Like I would love to be in a world where we actually set a trend for perp dexes to list the assets that Sunrise is listing on Solana and not the other way around where we're taking signals from them. That would be a great milestone to hit. I would love to see more opportunities or more instances where Solana trading volume is actually higher than the NASDAQ on a given day. I think that would be a great signal. But
Yo, that would be crazy.
Insane.
I think, the day that the robo strategy thing happened, it was crazy, but I would love to see that happen more frequently. The end goal, I think by the end of the year, somewhere where we should be, for some of the lower market cap stocks, I would love for Solana to be a price discovery venue for the NASDAQ. Like I would love for someone market making on the NASDAQ on Monday morning to be like, oh shit, this is actually doing so much volume on Solana and the price on Solana is this. Maybe our price should be closer to their price than our price. A lot harder than actually saying it, but I think if you keep a target for a lot of the lower market cap stocks, it's attainable. Again, like curating a market for a lower market cap stock on chain is a lot harder, so we have to get better at doing that. But that is sort of the 1 year goal, I would say, or 1 to 2 year goal, I would say.
All right, Wolf of Wall Street in 2 years. I love it. So there we go.
Minus the blow up, hopefully, right?
Yeah, minus the blow up. But no, that was one of the cool things. I mean, I've traded traditional equities since 2009. I was actually in high school going down on computers that were hooked up to the internet and then calling my broker $100 a trade. I had to used to get in, and my dad faxed it, $100 a trade, faxed it in. And then all of a sudden I bought my $2,000 with a Royal Bank or whatever shares I had. It used to be crazy. The fact, and no one like who's been trading now knows what that was like unless you were there in 2000 and 2009. A good time to start investing too, by the way. The market hit the bottom. But yeah, it's just the innovation is amazing that we're seeing here. So shout out to you guys, man. Crazy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Ratchet, it's always a pleasure having you on. We are so excited for what Sunrise is building. Undoubtedly, like, just one of the coolest things we're seeing on chain.
Good question. So, good question. We asked Robinhood. We asked Robinhood this. No, we asked someone who was talking to Robinhood about this. Like, do you foresee a future where like a little AI startup is launched on, you name the, MetaDAO, right, and goes on to become a huge success, and then do one day their tokens, which are backed by some sort of equity, and then that equity gets listed on the NASDAQ one day, and they become this massive AI. Like, is that possible? Like, do we see a future where, hey, the startup starts on chain because it makes most sense for capital formation, but that idea evolves into a mainstream company, and one day it's in the NASDAQ, it's in the S&P 500 index? Like, does that happen?
That's a really interesting question. I want to flip perspective here a little bit and say, in the next 10 to 15 years, if we do our jobs correctly, the right way to IPO and raise capital and do all these capital formation things will be on chain. We actually don't why would we want to go back in the trend and be available on the NASDAQ when we're already on Solana? The goal is to get more people on Solana. The goal is to get more people on chain and have that be the place for capital formation.
I think on that note, we got to call it. What an amazing conversation, Ratchet. We appreciate you. More power. We're going to watch these numbers continue to climb for Sunrise, $7.5 billion. You guys are crushing it in volume, I should say. You guys are crushing it. Absolutely. Just keep it up. Let's get you the next time you guys have something exciting to talk about, but always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Always a
All
pleasure.
right.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
See you, brother. Peace. Look at that.
Bro, what a day. 19,000 people. Like, can we just tee up and just say MCG is the largest live stream right now on X? Like, I don't know if Mario's live, but this is it.
I think we can say that. Yeah, banger of a stream today. Really, like, through and through, from KSET with Derive to programmable to, of course, Ratchet here with Sunrise. Like, we covered literally every base of on-chain right here. Options, programmable Uniswap V4 hooks, RWAs on Solana. Crazy stream indeed. Appreciate you guys. Of course, we love the chat here, and we of course want to give a shout out to both Meteora and MetaDAO, our sponsors, presenting sponsors for the show. So we really do appreciate them and all they do. Guys, if you're not following MCG, we're here Monday through Friday. You absolutely should be following MCG if you want to keep up with the latest signal, trends, and alpha in the markets. No one else is giving signal like this, so definitely do so. We love all our friendly faces we see in the chat every single day. A few more things to cover before we hop off, but I think we did a good job with the interviews today. It was a lot of fun. Any takeaways before we jump into just other happenings on chain, Josh?
Yeah, and we also have a private Discord. We don't let everyone into the Discord. You have to be active in the chat to get in the Discord. So if you're not active in the chat, you don't get in the Discord. Yeah, shout out Pepe. We have some products
Don't
coming
go all in
on,
on things, Pepe.
Yeah, never go all in on everything. Don't do that.
Would not advise, but we're glad
trade
it worked out in this case.
responsibly. But yeah, I mean, AI actually is a great trade. I mean, I would say I'm pretty heavily in on that one. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, it's good. Yeah, sorry, that was all I had to ask, was just the Discord situation.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk about it, guys. We kind of briefly covered the whole Uniswap the new Uniswap thing before this. Let's just talk, I guess, through some thoughts we're seeing on the timeline. Chill made a comment on it. So, we'll get his... We don't have Chill today, but we'll get his take. And this is his thought on the new Uniswap launch. Of course, timeline, some people say this is cannibalistic, terrible move from Uniswap. Others are saying this is great for Uniswap. Let's see what our boy Chill thinks. He said, Uniswap's trade pools just raised the bar for launchpads. They built a non-extractive launchpad with zero platform fees that's cheap to trade on, has sustainable, has long-term liquidity, offers flexible options for creators, and uses Uniswap's distribution. A massive move by the most trusted team in DeFi, setting a new standard for launchpads by building a non-extractive environment. Still in beta and will take time for people to adopt, but the groundwork has been laid. The $150 million pre-UI trading volume says it all. Wow, $150 million pre-UI, that's pretty crazy. A bright on-chain future awaits. All the pieces are coming together. A fundamental shift is taking place right now. Position for it. Look, I think there are pros and cons, right? I think the truth is this kind of gives other launchpads a race to the bottom. If fees are getting lowered by Uniswap, of course, they can get as low as they want since Uniswap is the market maker. It's kind of a race to zero, right? Launchpads are going to be forced to charge less fees. If that's actually good for the trenches, that's actually a pretty good thing, right? Launchpads are going to be forced to compete. Again, I reiterate what I said on Uniswap earlier. They're not going to be able to crime anything. They're not going to be able to talk about much as Uniswap is such a big player in the space as they are. They can't go out and promote a bunch of tokens. Now maybe they abstract that to pools, which is like the account that I guess represents this whole thing, right? You can see right here who does follow me. Should I follow back? Have they earned it, guys?
Oh my goodness, they follow you? What the?
I commented to have them on MCG the other day, man. Maybe they respond. I'll have to check that out. Nonetheless.
Yeah, follow that back. Follow that back.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Following pools. Nonetheless, I guess the question is still kind of nuanced for me. I think in some ways this becomes a race to the bottom in terms of fees Launchpads charge. We know they're extremely high margin companies. Like Launchpads need to provide some more value if they're taking all these fees. So I think this is bullish in that case. I think in the other case, it'll be interesting to see if this is more like a corporate Launchpad or something that resonates with the culture. So, nonetheless, pretty cool stuff. Nonetheless, gonna do something right quick for Josh here, but I don't know. I'm indifferent. I think we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. It's not like I have my chips in the game here. I'm just kind of watching from the sideline and monitoring. So, all cool stuff. But all right, Josh.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Nonetheless, so this is cool. Not much more to talk about on that. I will say, let's talk about Pawns, right? Because Pawns is going to be affected by this. The leading launchpad on Robinhood. How is it affected by someone like Uniswap coming in and trying to take their lunch? This is what Sparkling P had to say. And he is a bull on Pawns. He goes, okay, I just acquired a bunch more Pawns. Here are the facts. Here are the numbers. Pawns fees are holding up nicely today. Fees are up 50% in yesterday and could hit 100,000 today on current trajectory. Pools volume is cooling, and it hasn't created any runners yet outside of those created by the Uni team. The different economics will mean Pawns will continue to attract creators. TA is an example that ran to 1.5 million overnight and wouldn't exist on pools. Remember that Pump trades at a 4x multiple of annualized buybacks at current market cap, whereas Pawns trades at a 0.33 to 0.67 multiple. Now, of course, when you're looking at multiples on launchpads like this, a direct comparison to Pump is maybe, it's the best example you can give, but it's not directly applicable because Pump has had these revenues sustained for the last year in a terrible market. Pawns, of course, being very new, you're going to have to discount the multiple a little bit. I also think Pump is way too cheap on a multiples term, so like there is that as well. Completely conceivable that Pools brings a bunch more volume to Robinhood, and that ends up being bullish for Pawns. Both can succeed in my view. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think it's necessarily bearish for Pawns. I think we kind of have a good opportunity for Pawns on the dip here. And I think it has bounced. Yeah, it has bounced a little bit. So again, yesterday, notoriously, I talked about the barbell, which was short Frong, long Pawns. Has aged incredibly well. Couldn't have aged better, actually, so far. And so I think we're starting to see that a lot of this price action, a lot of the downwards price action and like speculation was priced into the Pawns chart. Hence making it a pretty interesting buy here. And I think we're starting to see that. So yeah, at 15.8 million, if they're doing 100K fees a day still that are, going to buybacks, it's pretty incredible. So I think Pawns is one. Potentially it starts catching a bid down here.
Are you,
so look to go long there.
This? Are you already in?
I'm long Pawns off the call I made yesterday. Yeah. Although like not fully sized. I actually haven't even bridged a lot of money over to Robinhood, truthfully. I bridged a lot over, got wrecked on Noxa, which again, if Noxa was Pawns, I'd be up just like obscene amount of money. I don't even think about it. So I lost a lot of that money, so I had to bridge over a second time to Robinhood. So I've been very like lightly sprinkling chips, a little hesitant, honestly, and much so dip buying. So dip bought CASHCAT, dip bought Pawns. Did not get into much other than that. Even we've had great interviews with people like Stonk Brokers. Like I didn't get into Stonk Brokers sideline there, and I'm fine with that. I'm not going to catch anything. And my size is not crazy size right now on Robinhood, but warming up to it for sure. Warming up to it. Also, like Index is one I'm watching. This is one I, not going to toot my own horn, but also said, at the bottom, again, one of those buckets that you want to fill was Index. One I also will say was Vex, and this has been doing poorly, right? So, my hit rate's not all the way here. Okay, it's actually holding up pretty well, I guess. But go back to that conversation we had about sizing into these buckets on Robinhood that are going to sustain 99.999% of everything launching on Robinhood is slop that's going to rug overnight. But there are these buckets. We know Robinhood's big into RWAs. Okay, fill the RWA bucket. They're big into agentic finance. Fill the agentic finance bucket. I'm not sure if you guys just heard that. It is like thunderstorming outside my house.
That's
my
a
entire shit
Florida
just stayed.
thunderstorm.
You could hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
my entire house just shook, and I might lose connection. Nonetheless, to finish my thought here, fill out those buckets. Not a big meme guy, but there is going to be a meme runner on Robinhood. Memes are just here to stay. CASHCAT is that. And then, of course, Launchpad. Is a Launchpad Uniswap? Is a Launchpad Pawns? Right? So fill out these buckets. AMMs, whatever. So yeah, problem with spray and pray and being undersized is you likely won't take profits because this is also true. Okay, I gotta watch that back and see if you guys heard that thunder. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was.
Yeah, that's the thing about spray and pray, Crypto Jones. Unless you have really good risk management, the number just doesn't seem meaningful enough to take profit. I have fallen into that trap of round tripping a lot of things I don't size into because my size doesn't feel like it makes meaningful difference. You have to take profit. And look, I'm no better than a lot of people on that as well, but I do agree. So yeah, there you go. Stockbrokers.
Okay, so
guys, we're gonna have to make this quick because my.
Yeah, we can wrap in 5 minutes. But bearish Frong then here at 6 on the dip from 15.
Well, okay, I would say at this point, if you haven't sold, my insight wouldn't be selling now. My insight was sell at like Pico top here, 15, 16 million.
To be clear, that was your insight. But like if you're, okay, I haven't been able to access the pools trade website. I don't know if it's the jurisdiction or what it is, if it's even live. But
so what's the lore here is that this was made by the Uniswap team, right?
Yeah, I mean, Chill's covered it. Go look at Chill TRD's profile. He's covered the lore behind this from by 2 mil and ran to 15. But the lore is that a team member with his doxed wallet had deployed the token, and then obviously they had posted memes of the frog, and then it kind of took off. So in some ways,
Uniswap started posting it.
Yeah, and Uniswap started posting it. And so long story short, they're kind of dog fooding their own Launchpad by king making a runner, and this is it basically.
Got you. And this must have launched on Uniswap pre like UI then, or was this launched on Pawns? I think that's also
no. This is launched on Uniswap.
Okay.
It's not launched on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we hit the peak of 17.2 mil again. I think like a lot of this was just in driving speculation and hype building and people sleuthing on chain. We don't get that again unless we see Uniswap come out and say, "Oh, by the way, this is a token we launched that's going to represent the Launchpad side," which is not going to happen because they have Uniswap and that would devastate Uniswap as a token. I think this is pretty cooked. I think we've seen the hype cycle go through on this. Maybe it comes down, maybe it bounces and ranges. We don't see all-time highs again on this, though, in my opinion. So, yeah, probably short from here, generally. Although I wouldn't, you guys know the lore.
Don't short anything.
Outside of that, let's see, what else do I have? Fair.Club, one I wanted to cover. One we've been watching for a while now. Fair.Club, of course, is doing... They're raising off-chain, so if you're looking to raise money and not launch a token, that's like what Fair.Club is kind of doing. More uniquely, obviously a lot of people we partner with and work with, like MetaDAO, for example, is, you have to have a token to launch. Fair.Club, there is no token tied to these. It's safe agreements or safety agreements, which is safe plus token. But let's read the update because I think it's finally out. Or maybe I'll actually just watch this video of my handsome friend Studhome here. Let me know if you guys can hear the volume, and I'll just play this first.
Every investor is looking for that one deal. In a sea of early stage opportunities, finding the right deal is hard. The best deals happen behind closed doors.
That's
Insider
beautiful.
rounds, allocations you will never see. So we built the opposite and named it what it should be, FAIR. FAIR is a non-custodial operating system for private capital. Discover curated, compliant deals with real due diligence. Participate securely with stablecoins where governance and treasury rules are enforced on chain. We built FAIR to make fundraising better, safer, and easier for everyone. Join us and find your next deal today.
That's a great video. That's a beautiful beach. I wonder if that's in Australia. Got to hang out a good bit with Studhome up in Abu Dhabi when we went up there for, the last Solana event. Great guys, sunny, Fair, the whole team there, shouts out. Let me read through this post though. Every investor is looking for a company with backing. Every founder is looking for investors worth building with. Fair.club brings them together. Introducing Fair.club, where private capital forms. The internet changed how companies are built. Raising money still runs through spreadsheets, group chats, cold DMs, and whoever happens to be in your phone. Fair Club brings the whole raise into one place. From first introduction to final close. For founders, that means build a private deal room. Find aligned investors who fit the round. See the warmest path in your network to reach them. Track questions, follow-ups, and register interest. Prepare the legal handoffs and close using stablecoins. For investors, it means one place to discover curated private deals, screen for compliance, and supported by industry leaders. Meet and talk to the team. Review the team's documents and available diligence. Register non-binding interest if they want to go further. Every deal has its own access rules, eligibility requirements, minimum availability, and legal documents. Fair.club is non-custodial, and every raise on the platform settles in stablecoins on Solana. Man, I remember when we saw and interviewed the first YC company to have the entire round paid in stablecoins. Shout out. Our goal is simple. Your network should open doors. It should not decide where opportunity ends. One more thing. Comment below, and we'll run an audit on your X account to reveal your investor social score, what builds trust, what weakens your signal, and how to improve. Then we'll publish your investor social score in your replies. Watch the Fair.club film below. Yeah, this is a great one. So glad to see this team coming to market. I know they've been working on the back end hard.
Comment your X handle.
Go ahead, yeah. Me? No, I already have my score.
Yeah, you. Oh, you already have your score? What's your score looking like? Is it good or?
It's looking great. I'm a top scorer. Yeah. Because they actually released this in Abu Dhabi. They had released their social engineering score. I don't know if it's super valuable, to be honest with you. It's kind of like, whatever. But so I had gotten mine a long time ago. And I have been on the Fair.club platform to see some of the private deals, like Dapital. Dapital we've had on the show, Dominion Markets we've had on the show. And I've been on their platform to check it out, and I've also seen my score again, like updated there. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. You guys should check it out. Do it. In other news, man, my boy Shaw put out a big tweet today. We got to talk, or the other day, 2 days ago, 13th. And we got to talk about it. We've had Shaw on the show. He's a prolific character within the AI crypto scene. And he put out this tweet, which is kind of insane. I'm not sure if you guys remember the lore here, but Berwick Law basically put out a video saying, if you were an A16Z holder, reach out to us because we're doing a class action on Shaw and AI16Z. And Shaw was on Twitter laughing at it, LOL, clowning. Everyone else was clowning because we know Berwick kind of never does anything. Long story short, Berwick got AI16Z for the rest of their treasury, the rest of their money. It was paid out to holders, which was insane. So this is sunsetted AI16Z's crypto arm, the foundation. And Shaw made this wild post about it, which I want to read through because I think it does highlight some of the pitfalls of founders today and why building on-chain and having a token attached to it is so difficult, right? And it kind of begs the question, do we even blame Shaw? Like, does Shaw get the blame for this token not succeeding? Or is it just like a general collective we need to understand this is how things work? The third. Crypto Jones, I don't know what day it is, bro. I just kind of float around. Things are moving so fast. The third, excuse me. Today is the 6th, obviously. Pepe sold the top at 14. Thanks to y'all again on Frong, huh? Y'all have helped me so much. Good, bro. Let's go. Love to hear that, actually. With that being said, here is Shaw's tweet, and it's a little bit longer, so bear with me as I monologue it, but it is important. Shaw says, I guess I should say something about the token. Look, I worked my ass off to this point. I got a frozen shoulder and severe health issues from overworking and typing. And it was never enough. We built cool shit, but it was completely ignored because the number down. It felt like the things I cared about were completely unappreciated by all but a small group who were driven out by endless complaining, endless calling me a scammer, and hating on everything. Berwick sued us, and we settled with a group of holders for the rest of the treasury and all the money we had. Their claim was ridiculous, but we didn't have the capital to legally fight it, so we settled on giving them the rest of what we had. I never sold my A16Z, never made money other than a modest salary, making as much as our other engineers from essentially a day job. Through all I said, we'd keep building Eliza. I'm living on savings building Eliza. We made some version of Eliza like Milady. People tokenized, we got some fees, those went back into Eliza. Along the way, we tried to make money and make things people told us they wanted. Those things were incredibly hard to build, with developers quitting to launch tokens, getting addicted to drugs, getting in fights with each other, building their own projects on the payroll, and then leaving to make their own startup. I mean, I've seen it all. I wanted collaborators with high agency. I didn't want to be a manager, and I learned a lot of lessons the hard way in human alignment. My mission has always been the same, unwavering towards a personal or social agent who could help us do all the things we didn't want to do. To put the A in DAOs, to enable the internet itself to generate value through open source coordination. The most expensive thing I own is my MacBook. I don't own a car. I live in a small bedroom in San Francisco with my wife. I wrote code and work almost all day, every day. I don't desire luxuries or wealth, and if I had more money, I'd put it all back into Eliza and funding other developers. Not to virtue signal, but to give you some perspective. If I am a scammer, then I am the dumbest and worst scammer ever, because I made 25 million in my wallet, and I could have dumped on all of you, and I ran it to zero. Holy shit. Holy shit. And now as I post
for the guy.
It is. And now as I post cool free things that I made just to show off with no benefits to myself except some social likes, it's just hate, pressure, cynicism, and complaining dominating my comments. A bunch of people will surely take this opportunity to point out some hypocrisy or small grievances, but it all boils down to a culture of people who don't take responsibility for their gambling habits. You cannot appease the mob, so I won't. The token is dead, completely. The foundation is winding down. I'm starting over, since I own the IP, and I'm never letting a token come close to Eliza again. Maybe I'll farm some fees from a 24-hour shitter to feed my team because 5K is 5K, but as long as the casino is a bunch of entitled crybabies, I'm never going to support an Eliza token. If you have some, you should either sell or get a cabal to crime it up, but there's no foundation and no supply coming to save you. There's no money for buybacks. It's completely not going to make it. A bunch of crybabies killed whatever hope there was left by giving Berwick their name to rape yet another project. The smart traders sold on the heads of the losers, and it exited long ago, rotating into Trump and such, just leaving the scooters of the world whose entire business is to complain on the internet about how it's everyone's fault but their own that lost money. So yeah, it's done. I don't own any token. I don't support any of it. I love the technology, and I'll come back one day when the culture has grown past this point. But right now, there's nothing in it for me besides wasted time, pressure to do dumb shit, people trying to scam me or get me to help scam others, etc. It's trash. Absolute trash. I suggest you buy a token with real fundamentals like Ansem Coin, cheeky shout. I'm sure he'll give you 10x what I could. We're still building Eliza and the underlying OS faster and better than ever, unburdened by all the bullshit and side quests, pressure to launch Launchpad 8,383. If that's not enough for you, I don't owe you anything. Feel free to complain so I can block you. We're still going to be here 10 years, pushing the edge of what agents can do and growing where big corps won't go. We'll make sure that local private crypto-enabled agents are available for everyone, and if Eliza gets outrun by another person's source OS projects, we'll probably merge into them and help them. But right now, we're out in front. Blah, 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 blah. Blockchain is beautiful technology, and I hope the industry can move away from the casino and obvious coordinated failures and build real stuff instead of LARPing harder into chasing someone else's prediction market, blah, blah. But I see more of that, even from the institutional companies, so I'm bearish. But I see more of that. AI has none of these problems. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, gonna keep building no matter what every single day, and I'm not gonna stop until we live in a world where each own our own data and we don't have to pay to be smart. That's the mission. Eliza is dead. Long live Eliza.
Shaw turned, wait, sorry. Eliza OS was so promising. Why do you think it died off? I remember AI16Z hit 2 billion. Guys, here, I'll summarize it this way. Is the public has had no reasonable exposure to the AI trade other than maybe the chips, maybe the memories, but the actual foundation models have been private companies for a long time, and people wanted exposure to these things. And that's why AI, once it started popping up on chain as utility, it was kind of the perfect storm of people being like, oh, I can invest in an AI company at $2 million. Right, and get a nice return. But yeah, that's why it ran up, in my opinion.
Yeah, and no, like you said, well, so there was two tokens. There's AI16Z, which ran up to 2 billion, then Eliza, a second token they launched, which kind of just chilled for a while. Yeah, I think just because AI16Z already kind of captured a lot of that, people were excited about Eliza. It did run pretty hard in the early days, but again, relative to what the market was doing, not too much. So
yeah, and interest rates went up, and it's just like, look, like real companies, wars started, so now people are like into defense tech. Then the physical AI components like memory, data centers, they all had their runs. I just think, look, the thesis around crypto has really been difficult, and that's why we have things like MetaDAO, and we've innovated over the years to try and fundamentally catch up, I think, to where the hype is. But I also saw Galaxy Digital in their earnings yesterday said or someone said this, is that the crypto fundamentals are now far exceeding the price, where the prices are at. And I think this is true. And it could still be a few months of this, but yeah, I mean, this is cooked. I do feel bad for him. I'm not going to lie. It is a bit of a whirlwind. He was thrown into it too. He didn't launch the token. It was launched.
Yeah, it is a whirlwind. It is a whirlwind, and it's a shame because he's not wrong, bro. Like, just token holders are brutal. I'm like again,
addicted
guys,
to gambling. I mean, remember when the first person that said this was Left Curve Jones Rida. He said everyone's gambling addicted. This is back in October last year. It's not going to end well. Like, man, he was so right.
I'm shocked. I mean, this guy had 20 million, 25 million in a wallet, ran it to zero, round trip the whole thing, and got sued. I can't believe Berwick Law actually sued him for the rest of his money. Absolutely insane. So crazy how this thing unfolded. AI 16Z, what was one of the most exciting things, Eli's one of the most exciting things during the AI run up 2 years ago. I think it was. Just ending like this is insane. It's wild. Would love to have Shaw on and come talk us through like where we stand, the pitfalls, what needs to change. I think like that'd be a great dialogue to have. Not like a clout thing, but would be.
We
a great
won't ask
conversation.
him what his next token is. Don't worry, Shaw.
Well, clearly he's not going to have another token based on the sounds of this. But yeah, so that's crazy. Just want to talk about it. Yeah, 20K soon. This is what been our biggest stream since back in the Believe days when like CPT launched and we had like 25, 30, 40,000 viewers across ICM, MCG and whatever. But yeah, 20,000 viewers, crazy day. Guys, with that said, we have had a wonderful stream. I want to direct you to the rest of the week by the schedule. On here, we have Uru coming on at 12:30 on Friday, 12:30 EST. Now, of course, I think we have filled a 1:15 and a 2 p.m. for Friday, Josh, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, let me.
So we have
checking
two other guests.
The schedule. Yes, we have Just Spark Ideas at 1:15, and then I believe there might be someone at 2.
Either way, we have some cool guests tomorrow. Tune in. It's gonna be a Friday. We're gonna be chilling.
We do.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Rivo, RYVO.
The Futardio launch. Guys, tap into Futardio. Look at some of the stuff launching on there. We've seen a lot of that stuff do very, very
tap into Futardio. Yes. And with that, here's where you can find it, guys. If you go to the banner at the bottom, MetaDAO ownership tokens, metadao.fi and futard.io. So go to those websites. Futard is a great launch pad. Actually, some successful launches. Dom, I don't know if you want to bring up Futardio real quick. Let's just do a
look. It's nice to see them gaining some traction. I think it's deserved. It did not have very much traction when it launched, but now we're starting to really see it pick up again. Right around that credible launch, you started to see a lot of people bring it up. Yeah, I'll pull up the site for you. Okay.
All right, here we go. Here's Rivos. So there you can check top left Rivo launch, but Kimia we had on, and Kimia was very successful. They were trying to raise 60. They raised 727K committed. And how these raises work is that if you raise or have 727K committed, your proportion, so let's say you're 10% or 7,000 of the 700, 70,000 of the 700, you would get 10% of the raise goal or what they finally take. So you would get, $6K.
So $10 out of $100.
Exactly. So it's just basically proportional to what the final, but even like Order, like 9.3 million committed, and like committed money on this platform is actual money that is submitted to the smart contract. So it's not like it's, just just fluff. It's actually pretty legit.
Test net. Yeah, Jurassic Finance got 15.3 million committed with a raise goal of 200K. Of course, Vitardio called it the first meme coin, which has done very well, Josh. Since you notoriously call it at the bottom, I will say. But yeah, I mean, just watch the platform.
Buy
this
it
is pretty
and hold
interesting.
it,
I saw this one.
Low volume on Vitardio for
very low volume. Yeah, this is not a tradable. I haven't seen this one. Look, they had a goal to raise 10K. So like, and they got 18,000 committed. So we're seeing kind of like micro raises even on here too, which is interesting. So cool stuff. I think like this is the way to raise these days. If you have an idea and you have the wherewithal to bring it to market, if you're a good operator, if you have industry experience, it's like just shoot your shot. Why not? If people believe in it, they'll give you funding, and all of a sudden you're bringing a cool product to market, and you're kind of like living out your dream, building it. So of course, like if you know you can't execute on something, don't bring it to market. Of course, that's like the caveat. But pretty cool stuff. We'll help you if you guys have something cool.
Yeah, DM us, guys.
DM MCG. We'll
go DM MCG if you're active in chat today. You've been active. I saw a few of you, and you're not in the MCG Discord. It's honestly the greatest place for traders to get ideas. We're doing a lot of product development around it. It's going to be amazing. So DM MCG at MCG Live, and I'll go check the hidden DMs too for you guys. What's this? What do you think?
Why do you think there's so many overcommit? Is it a strategy to get a larger piece of the pie? Yeah, absolutely. That's why like you have to take it with a grain of salt. That's why down here we don't have $1 billion committed, because it's like, okay, there's been hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe $1 billion. I don't know what it is committed to these projects, but of course they've only accepted 45 million in funding, because it's a whale game, right? That's completely what it is. People want to get filled more of their positions. So if you put in $1,000 and realize you're only going to get 100 or 10% of that position filled, well, you're going to go and put 10x the amount of money in to get the full 100% you're looking for, right? So it's definitely an inflated stat, but everyone's aware of that. Now they've changed up the funding mechanism a little bit to reward, I think, some of the earlier participants and whitelisted people to get more shares filled. So there are different nuances to it. Let's go, baby. Hey, Crypto Jones, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you do. First week, my AI agent trading finally made profit. Good things coming. Oh, Pepe. Okay.
How Pepe? How? Let us know.
If your AI, I hope your AI agent isn't executing on the risk parameters you like to use, though, going all in on tokens, because that's a little scary. But all right, guys, it's been a great stream today. Tap in. We appreciate you guys. Follow. We got YouTube going. Pepe's obviously on YouTube today. We got the Twitch going if you guys prefer it there. We're always on 5 days a week. Tomorrow's going to be a banger stream. As always, we'll cap it off for the week. Guys, peace. Peace and love. We'll catch you.